Immortal Cultivation begins with time management. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyright or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 476. No more mana, I'm going to die. Time used his draw formula. One cheer thunder after another was fired, bombarding the large area of calamity thunder that was approaching rapidly. Since the range of cheer thunder was extremely large, the power of the solar calamity thunder was also not small. Every time they collided and collapsed, they could destroy more than 100 calamity thunders around. However, Time's remaining true essence was also rapidly decreasing, just like the number of solar calamity thunders. For him, whether there were thousands of calamity thunders left or dozens, it actually made no difference. If he was hit by one, he would be shattered to pieces and his soul would be scattered. There was no other ending. After consuming only a quarter of his true essence, Time's expression became gloomy. At this time, there were more than 5,000 solar calamity thunders left, and at the same time, they had descended to a height of 1,600 feet, and had traveled about half the distance. Its flying speed was much slower than the previous calamity thunder. The true essence was close to the limit. If it was overdrawn at this time, he would definitely die. If he continued to digest the power of the medicine and restore his true essence, he would still be dead when the 5,000 solar calamity thunders fell. Time reached into the Tiangong 100 treasure bag again, took out a magic weapon, and without thinking, injected his true essence into it, and directly used it to hit the thunder above. The magic weapon hit the thunder, and immediately caused a large-scale explosion, destroying all the dozen thunders around. Time didn't feel bad, but just reached out again expressionlessly and took out the second magic weapon from the Tiangong 100 treasure bag. At first, the Tiangong 100 treasure bag gave out magic weapons that could kill a large area. But as the magic weapons were consumed one by one in the heavenly tribulation, the attack range of the magic weapons it gave out became smaller and smaller, and later they were all single-attack magic weapons. The solar thunder fell to a height of 1,000 feet, and there were still more than 3,000 of them. If you use a single-attack magic weapon to consume it, you won't have time to finish hitting the remaining thunders, and you will be directly blown into powder. Relying on the time to delay by consuming the magic weapon, Time has restored his true essence to 1/2, and it is obviously impossible to deal with the 3,000 solar thunders. In this case, he could only use the thunder sword again and use the technique of diverting the evil to the east. This is a necessary sacrifice. Master Sword Master, please don't sacrifice me. Thunder Sword begged hurriedly, then the solar tribulation thunder, if I am blown up, I will be shattered to pieces, and it won't delay for long. Why not keep me? I still have a large-scale Taoist method to help. Time was silent for half a second, and said, then let's see first, but you have to be mentally prepared. Thunder Sword. It's right. Kingping Sword suddenly said, the Thunder Sword can't delay for long. What you need now is not to delay time, but an attack method that can clear the solar tribulation thunders in the remaining time. Time did not answer, but continued to race against time to refine the medicinal power and restore the true essence. If the true essence is endless, even if the tribulation thunder has dropped to a distance of several hundred feet, he can calmly use cheer thunder to clear the whole scene. But no matter his true essence capacity or the recovery speed of his true essence, he can't hold on at all. The thunderbolt had already descended to a height of 800 feet, leaving him little time to think, and Time decided to go for broke. He took the thunder hammer and thunderall in his hands, and poured all the remaining true essence into them, generating a new, even larger takes out divine thunder dragon. The dragon roared into the air, rushing towards the sun thunderbolts that filled the sky. Time quickly took out a pill and swallowed it quickly. Before he could restore the true essence he had just emptied to 1/5, the dragon transformed by the takes out thunder had been torn to pieces by the sun thunderbolts. Every explosion of the thunderbolt could tear off a large piece of its body. Although the sun thunderbolts flew slower, its killing power was much more terrifying than the Qing thunderbolts. At this speed, by the time the takes out divine thunder dragon was shattered, he would not have time to recover much true essence. Time calculated clearly that he could only put away the Thunder God Cone and Thunder God Hammer, and put all the other flying swords into the sword box, leaving only the Kingping Sword to shoot into the air, and activate the second level of the Taoist method on the sword, after the rain in the empty mountain. This method can generate a lot of water-based sword energy, and consumes very little true essence, compared to other means of attack, which is the last little means of barely making up for it. Qiu Chang's took out the Tianji Divine Shuttle again and looked up silently. There were less than 1,000 solar tribulation thunders left, and the height dropped to 500 feet. If it entered within 300 feet, the lethality of the thunder explosion would affect Qiu Chang's body. Therefore, Qiu Chang's has used all his quick wits and formulated a risky plan. When the thunder is close to 30 feet away, he will cast a Taisan Chuanji Spirit Talisman to suppress and slow down the approaching solar tribulation thunder. In this way, the thunder outside the range of the talisman will fly faster than the thunder in front, so that these thunders will be closer to each other and gather together. At this time, he simultaneously fired Chi Thunder and activated the Tianu shuttle. Chi Thunder could detonate all the 1,000 tribulation thunders, and the instantaneous damage immunity of the Tianu shuttle could prevent him from being shattered to pieces in an instant. However, there were many risks involved. For example, if the tribulation thunders were not gathered together, if the Chi thunders were struck too quickly, or if the Tianu shuttle was activated too slowly, it would lead to an extremely tragic end. Qiu Chang's had no choice. With a resolute and cold mind, he maintained a clear consciousness and silently watched the pure white, holy, and strangely aura-emitting solar tribulation thunders approaching. The solar tribulation thunders flew very slowly, but compared to the Qin tribulation thunders, the distance of several hundred feet passed in a flash. 100 feet. 70 feet. 40 feet. 30 feet, Qiu Chang's suddenly pinched the Do formula and fired the Taisan Chuanji talisman. As soon as the talisman was shot into the thunderbolt, Qiu Chang's face changed immediately, because he found that the speed of suppressing these solar thunderbolts was so fast that it was far beyond his expectations. Fortunately, the deceleration of the solar thunderbolts in front and the catch-up of the solar thunderbolts behind, the shortening of the distance between them and the gathering, were exactly as he planned. These thunderbolts were gathered together, and Qiu Chang's fired another Chi thunderbolt. The attack range just covered all these thunderbolts. Then, at a speed of 1 second, he injected the remaining little true essence into the Tianu Divine Shuttle and activated the first layer of Taoism on it. The method of Qian Kun Jiaofu. The virtual and the real were born, the Qian Kun was overturned, and for a moment the world seemed to be completely reversed. The true essence poured out like a dam opened, and Qiu Chang's watched the explosion of the 1,000 solar thunderbolts wash over his ethereal body without causing any damage or pain. The Jade Palace suddenly spasmed and twitched, and the true essence of the Sea of Qi had been exhausted. Forced overdraft. Extract the remaining true essence from the meridians. It's the last moment, why should I be stingy with my body? The calamity clouds in the sky have dissipated, and the 5 true essences have gathered and merged in Qiu Chang's body, turning into a golden pill the size of a grain of rice. The Jade Palace is empty, with only a trace of true essence flowing, which is extracted from the meridians and quickly put into the Tianu Divine Shuttle. The sun's calamity thunder has been completely exhausted, but the high-temperature environment generated by the explosion is still maintained. If he quits the Qian Kun Jiaofu at this time, he will inevitably be burned by the high temperature. The Kunlun Mirror has switched him to the Linglong template, because the flesh of the Jialong clan will be stronger, but in the high-temperature environment around at this time, it is still impossible to exist for long. Maybe he can only hold on for a few more breaths and enjoy the high-temperature baking before death. Linglong clenched his teeth, and almost every meridian was in pain. Even though he had tried his best to extract the true essence, at all costs, those tiny true essences like flowing water were still gradually and irresistibly exhausted. Just when he had finally exhausted himself, fell into a coma, and quit the Qian Kun Jiaofu, a lid suddenly fell from the sky, covering Linglong directly, and then dragged him into the cold sea water. It was a huge turtle shell. According to Taoists, the golden elixir is actually the size of a grain of rice, and I am not making it up. Chapter 477. The noble golden core elm dragon Long Long, who had formed a demon pill, was no longer a water viper, but a noble dragon. He swam nimbly in the seawater, constantly releasing his dragon power, and used his dragon power to shake off the barnacles attached to the turtle shell. However, the old turtle's shell was too big, and it was covered with dense barnacles. After cleaning this piece, there were still countless pieces, which made Long Long feel like a bath scrubber looking at a clay figure, and he had no idea where to start. I say, old man turtle. He finally couldn't help but complain, you are the ancestor of the Chuan clan after all. Can't you just use the fairy method to wash your whole body? Do you have to let me use dragon power to clean it for you? If your ears are itchy, do you choose to dig your ears or wash them? The old turtle said slowly. Of course, Long Long was about to say of course it's more comfortable to dig your ears, but he suddenly reacted, well, even if it's better to clean the barnacles manually, why don't you let the Chuan clan send people to clean it for you? Because they don't have dragon power. The old turtle still said in a slow tone. Long Long was speechless. Of course he knew that the old turtle was giving him a chance to repay the favor. After all, saving people from the aftermath of the catastrophe, how great a favor was that? How many causes and effects were involved? If he didn't repay this old turtle, he would repay his descendants, the Chuan clan. Considering the political sensitivity of the Chuan clan on the mainland, Long Long would of course rather serve this old turtle and repay the favor, and never waver. Come on, isn't it just cleaning up the barnacles? Let you, the old bastard who has become an immortal, see the skills of my little white dragon in the waves. Long Long snorted majestically, and the dragon's might shook off all the barnacles in the nearby 100-foot area. Alright. After a few more hours, the old turtle suddenly said, there is an island ahead, you go ashore first and wait for me to come. Long Long responded and quickly swam to the island ahead. After landing on the beach of the island, Long Long quickly turned into a young man and took out a robe from his storage bag and put it on. Not long after, 2 boys came to greet him. May I ask the distinguished guest's name? The boy on the left said, my master doesn't like strangers, please forgive me. Long Long nodded and said, I am here with Mr. Giyu this time. The 2 boys looked at each other for a moment, and immediately said in unison, please go to the small pavilion in the back to rest for a while, and we will serve the Chuan immortal here. Giyu is the ancestor of the Chuan clan that ruled Bizhou. He is an immortal, so it is no wonder that the 2 boys dare not neglect him. Seeing the 2 people so respectful, Long Long couldn't help but have a strange illusion that they were taking advantage of the power of the tiger. After coming to the pavilion to rest for a while, Long Long had nothing to do, so he began to meditate and look inward, taking stock of the huge gains after forming the elixir. Before forming the elixir, he practiced 9 heavens king way entering the real words, and had 800 years of Immortal Cultivation. His true essence was far more powerful than his peers, and he could even be said to be the first person in the waffle level in the world. But after forming this grade of golden elixir, the abundance of true essence almost expanded to 100 times the original. In the Jade Mansion, a golden elixir the size of a grain of rice was suspended in the center, rotating slowly. Every time that he circulated through a large circle, the golden elixir would rotate once, taking in the true essence from the Qi and expelling the more refined true essence, just like a person's breathing. The power of the true essence also increased significantly. The Thunder method that originally consumed a small amount of energy now seemed to be as easy to use as if nothing had happened, and the little bit of consumption was not worth mentioning. In addition to the true essence, Qiu Changtai felt that his body was obviously much lighter, his ears and eyes were sharp, his mind was refreshed, and his thinking was more active. His lifespan had been extended to 1,000 years, so he could enjoy himself for a while. Let's get back to the point. After being promoted to the Golden Elixir Realm, he had to start preparing for the Nascent Soul Realm. The Golden Elixir Realm is also divided into 3 stages: conserving the spirit, seeking the roots, and being subtle. Among them, the stage of preserving the spirit is to immerse the spirit soul in the golden elixir, the stage of seeking the root is to let the golden elixir grow the root of the elixir, and the stage of the subtle is to open up the inner scene in the sea of consciousness, and connect with the golden elixir with the spirit soul and the root of the elixir, in preparation for the final golden elixir forming a fetus immortal. There are 9 grades of golden elixir, and the primordial infant is also divided into 5 grades, namely ghost, human, earth, god, and immortal. Among them, the ghost infant belongs to the infant formation that is useless, and the residual soul is entangled in the primordial infant. It is impossible to reincarnate or become an immortal, and can only rely on taking over the body to survive. If the cultivation of the golden elixir is not deep, the body is destroyed by the heavenly tribulation, but the soul survives by chance, and it will fall into this category. The human infant is relatively better, after all, the body is intact. Although it is also impossible to become an immortal, it can at least wait for the end of life and reincarnation. The low-grade golden elixir has passed the heavenly tribulation, or the middle-grade golden elixir has not cultivated deeply and the origin is damaged by the heavenly tribulation, and most of them fall into this category. Earth infant is the mainstream level of most union cultivators. Although there is a possibility of ascending to immortality, the hope is slim. A mid-grade Jimdon cultivator successfully survives the heavenly tribulation, or a high-grade Jimdon cultivator fails to survive the tribulation and damages his origin. This is the case. Divine Infant is an enhanced version of Earth Infant. Its union has the appearance of 5 Ki returning to the origin and 3 Ms gathering at the top. The possibility of ascending to immortality is greatly increased, and the rank of immortality is also higher. A high-grade Jimdon cultivator successfully survives the tribulation. As for the Immortal Infant, it is a level that only exists in the records of the classics. It is said that it has some power like an immortal at the Yuning level, hence the name. It is like the first-grade Jindon in the Jindon realm. It exists in theory, but in reality, the hope is slim to the point of being almost impossible. The first-grade Jindon also has the standard of Waifu cultivation, but the Yuning grade seems to be only related to the Jindon grade and whether it successfully survives the fetal tribulation, which gives long a headache. They all formed a first-grade golden elixir. Even if they successfully passed the tribulation when they were promoted to the nascent soul, they would definitely be extremely unwilling to get a divine infant in the end. Although the demon race called the golden elixir realm the transformation realm and the nascent soul realm the demon king realm, the overall cultivation system seemed to be very similar. The human race has golden elixir, and the demon race also has demon pills. The human race has the nascent soul, and the demon race also has Don Yuan, which are all similar things. Although I followed the old turtle this time to repay the favor and understand the cause and effect, if I can find out from it how to form a top-grade immortal infant, oh, no, it is the method of forming a first-class Dong Yuan, then this trip will be a great harvest. Long was silently calculating when he saw a white-haired old man with his hands behind his back, escorted by 2 boys, walking slowly from the coast. This old man was the old turtle. His expression was calm and composed, and he looked a bit like an immortal. He was just too short, not much taller than the boys on both sides, which gave people a kind of funny feeling. Of course, whether for favors or to get information, Long had made up his mind to curry favor with this old turtle. Old man. Long greeted him with a smile. What should we do next? Wait. The old turtle said slowly. Transition chapter. Chapter 478. Long feast. It was not until the afternoon that several more guests arrived on the island. Seeing that these guests greeted the old turtle enthusiastically after they arrived, Long knew that they were probably all immortals, that is, the ancestors from various demon tribes. On the human side, immortals have various ranks. Earth immortals, heavenly immortals, golden immortals and Dailyo golden immortals. Naturally, immortals on the demon side also have different ranks. Overall, bloodline is still the main factor. Dragons give birth to dragons, and phoenixes give birth to phoenixes. In addition, if low-level bloodliness are cultivated properly, they also have the opportunity to be upgraded to higher bloodliness. As for how to cultivate properly, Long didn't know much. After all, he had obtained Yinglong bloodline through obtaining the method, one of the highest level bloodliness among all demons. Long maintained his incarnation, so the ancestors didn't know what race he was, but seeing that he could serve beside Gilao, he must not be an ordinary cultivator, so they all nodded to him. After a while, the island owner also came out from the depths. She was a mature and beautiful woman in a white cloak. She was surrounded by 2 young girls and 2 boys, holding a bamboo basket, a clean bottle, a whisk and a canopy respectively. Long's eyes lit up. What a grand ceremony. If Qiu Chang's Han used this ritual to show off, wouldn't the synchronization value of his invincible character be soaring? No, Qiu Chang's Han was from Kunlun after all. Kunlun didn't care about playing like this. Wei Dongliu should be the one to do it. I am very grateful that you can come to participate in the ceremony. The beautiful woman smiled and bowed, then turned around and ordered, Kinga, serve tea. Kinga was one of the girls carrying a flower basket. She looked about 4 or 5 years old, and her appearance was also delicate and lovely. Okay, madam. She responded crisply, and then stretched out her chubby little hands and gently patted the bottom of the bamboo basket. A large amount of sweet tea, fine wine, and delicacies flew out in cups, plates, and dishes and landed on the tables of the guests. Everyone present was a fairy-level boss, so there was no need to stick to etiquette and they could do whatever they wanted. Some drank, some picked up dishes, and some talked and laughed, all kinds of people. Long sat next to the old turtle, watching the whole scene silently and counting the number of people. 17. In other words, there are 17 great demons of the fairy level here. Although I don't know how many immortals there are on the human side, Long Long guessed that most of the guests here are equivalent to the earthly immortal level of the human race, and perhaps a small number are heavenly immortals. If they were all golden immortals or Dailyo golden immortals, how could the demon race still be entrenched in the East Empire realm? They would have counterattacked the mainland long ago. Well, even if they are just low-level immortals, they are still immortals after all. With so many immortals and demon ancestors gathered here, the signal they sent out alone is enough to shake the entire Eastern Empire realm. What are they planning to do? Do they really want to overturn the current situation in the Eastern Empire realm? Now the Cunning clan nominally rules all demons. Do these big guys intend to overthrow the Cunning rule and bring the descendants of Yinglong back to the throne of the 10,000 demons royal family? Okay, I'll recommend myself. I have the Yinglong bloodline of the previous emperor. No, I'm a traitor and will betray you eventually. Why don't I recommend my fox wife to you? Just as Long Long was daydreaming, he saw the old turtle knocking on the table slowly. The sound was not loud, but the old turtle's identity was so noble that the guests around him who had been paying attention to him with their peripheral vision immediately turned their heads to look over. However, the old turtle didn't care about the sight of these guests at all, just pushed the plate to Long Long. Onion fruit is good for the blood of Jia Long. Long Long's eyes lit up, and he didn't doubt it. After all, this old turtle had no reason to lie to him, so he stretched out his fingers to pinch the onion fruit, and saw that the skin was full and clear, exuding a sea blue luster, and there seemed to be a smoke-like texture shaking inside. He put it in his mouth and bit it gently, and a cold current rushed from his mouth and tongue into his chest and abdomen, almost freezing his throat. However, Long Long was Jia Long blood after all, and his flesh was strong, so he swallowed the cold current by force. The cold current fell into the Jade Mansion, but did not revolve around the golden elixir, but quickly dispersed into the major meridians, limbs and bones. Then it was gone. Long Long. A Jing. He asked quietly in his heart, can this thing really strengthen my dragon bloodliner? I mean, I actually don't have the dragon bloodliner, right? Then how does the onion fruit strengthen it? Wake up, your dragon bloodliner is not completely simulated by me. Kumlin Jing reminded him, have you forgotten the drop of blood essence that Yinglong gave you? Strictly speaking, you are now a human cultivator with Yinglong bloodliner, just like Zhu Yinglong who has Phoenix bloodliner. The onion fruit can indeed strengthen this part of your bloodliner. Specifically, your bloodliner magical powers are more powerful, but you don't feel anything. I don't like to hear that. Long Long snorted in his heart, and said, I don't feel anything. Then how do I know whether what you said is true or false? Of course it's true, why don't you believe me? Kumlin Jing asked him back. Why should I believe you? Don't forget, I also gave you your Long Long template. Kumlin Mirror said patiently, without me, how could you disguise yourself as a dragon with a drop of Yinglong's blood and sit here safely? Long Long was stunned for a moment, and immediately became furious. Good guy, the broken mirror devoured the master. How dare you threaten me here? I left the good orthodox sect and came to this Donghuang realm to pretend to be a dragon. Don't you know who I am for? Forget it, for the sake of the plan to repair the sky, I can't bother with this broken mirror. Regardless of whether what Kumlin Mirror said was true or false, Long Long turned to thank the old turtle. Thank you for reminding me, this thing is indeed beneficial to my blood. Not only onion fruit. The old turtle said slowly, the tea, wine, and dishes here are all rare spiritual objects. You can try them all, there is no harm. Long Long nodded when he heard it, and began to feast on it. Drink a cup of tea here, pour a glass of wine there, pick up a piece of fruit in front, and take a piece of meat in the back, eating happily. The island owner sat on the main seat, watching Long Long eating and drinking, and then stretched out his hand to call the boy who greeted him today, and asked, what is the identity of the junior? It's interesting that he can be free in such an occasion. That person was brought by the Chuan Immortal. The boy whispered a few words to her. The island owner nodded slightly. Among the guests present, if there is anyone who must not be offended, it must be the Chuan Immortal. However, this old man has not been involved in worldly affairs for a long time, and he has not even stayed in the North Sea, just drifting around. This time, he actually brought a strange junior to the banquet, and reminded him to eat onion fruit, so this junior is a dragon? Dragon? The island owner suddenly remembered an ancient story. The name Chuan did not originally refer to the current Chuan Divine Turtle clan, but the combined name of the Turtle and Snape clans. Both are water-based, and the Divine Turtle is good at defense, while the Dragon is good at attack. They cooperate with each other, and their blood and magical powers are compatible with each other. Why the turtle and the snake split later is not mentioned for now. As for the later alliance between the black tortoise and the cunning, it was purely due to high-level political considerations, and it did not reach the level of intimacy of the former turtle and snake alliance, where they were almost one. Could it be that this black tortoise immortal has some ideas about the current high-level leaders of the black tortoise clan? Thinking of this, the island owner suddenly came up with a plan, turned around and ordered, "Abai, my queen." The little maid hurried forward. "Take my order, go to the Kanglong clan, and invite Senior Shirashi to the banquet." Chapter 479. Long Long. I want you to marry into the Gi family. After the guests had a good meal and a good drink, the beautiful island owner smiled and said, "The accommodation is ready. Please stay here for a few days." Accommodation? Long Long's heart moved, and he turned to look at the old turtle. But he saw the old turtle stood up and left slowly without looking back. "Senior Long, please follow me." Then a girl came out and signaled to lead Long Long. Long Long followed her deep into the island and saw a majestic palace standing in the valley. People who cultivate immortals are often known for their majestic architectural style because they can use Taoism to control the power of nature, but the interior decoration is usually not delicate and mostly empty. Long Long was led into the side hall by the girl, and saw the old turtle sitting in the main seat with his eyes closed, and the beautiful island owner was sitting next to him with a smile, staring at him meaningfully, but not speaking. What are these two people doing? Are they playing a game where whoever speaks first loses? Although he didn't know what happened, Long Long was also well versed in the art of riddles. Since neither of them wanted to speak, he found a chair nearby and sat down, also keeping silent. After a while, a crisp laugh came from outside. "Ancestor, what is the reason for calling me here this time?" The person pushed the door in, and it was a cute girl with a bun hairstyle and a small round face, who looked about 16 or 17 years old. However, the appearance of the demon clan is like this. Those who look like young girls may be older than those who look like women. Therefore, Long Long was not deceived by her appearance at all, but just looked at her with his eyes and nose, and ignored her. However, although he was not interested in this strange demon clan, since it is a descendant of the old turtle clan, it must be a little turtle of the Chuan clan. This little turtle girl also noticed something, so she was stunned for a moment, and then chose to sit on the chair opposite, also keeping silent, just staring at Long Long fiercely. After a while, the old turtle finally opened his eyes, but ignored the little turtle girl, and just said to Long Long, "Gilinga is the descendant with the purest bloodline in our clan. If you are willing to marry her, our karma will be cleared." These words made Gilinga and Long Long's faces change drastically at the same time. The former subconsciously thought, "What turtle? Who is this person? Why did the ancestor suddenly arrange a marriage for me?" The latter subconsciously thought, "Impossible. I'm a firm single push heroine pure love warrior. Even if I owe a favor, how could I, who already has a little fox, be ambiguous with other animals? And it's a turtle. Chuan Immortal is so powerful." Before the two of them could speak, laughter came from outside. "Long Long is a member of our dragon clan. Has he asked our elders about his marriage?" The door was pushed open from the outside, and Long Long saw Shiro walked in majestically, followed by the dragon fox with an equally frosty face. Click. Long Long's heart suddenly skipped a beat. He realized that Shiro's timing of coming was too good. It was right after the old turtle started to arrange the marriage, and he hadn't had time to question it. If the dragon fox outside heard this, he would definitely misunderstand me as a despicable person. Damn, wasn't she imprisoned in the underwater palace for a treat in cultivation? How could you be brought here by Shiro all of a sudden? Someone among the guests just now must have recognized my identity as a dragon and secretly found Shiro to tip off. Then Shiro contacted Uli, who was teaching the dragon fox, or directly found Qin Bio Wang. Anyway, she used some means to bring her here. Although he knew that the little fox had misunderstood, Long Long was also an experienced person, so he naturally knew that he couldn't rush to explain at this time. Because once you explain, people will know that you have given in, and then they will start to complain endlessly, so that you will consciously retreat to a more disadvantageous position psychologically. "I was just about to explain to you, Senior," Long Long said neither humbly nor arrogantly, "although I owe you a favor, I have someone in my heart. I'm unwilling and unable to repay you in this way. Please forgive me." As soon as these words came out, Long's anger turned into shame. Shiro showed admiration, the island owner of the beautiful woman was curious, and the old turtle was expressionless. Only Gilinga immediately widened her eyes, feeling a sense of humiliation. It is said that human psychology is so wonderful. The same thing, if it is given away for free, it is cheap, and if it cannot be obtained, it is an obsession. The same principle applies to time limits and restrictions. Gilinga originally disdained Long Long, but was first stalked by Shio, and then rejected by Long Long. Naturally, she still disdained it, but she also saw that the shy Long was obviously the object of Long Long's heart. "I want to see who you are, little goblin." "No problem." The old turtle didn't seem surprised, and just said lightly, "If you don't want to marry her, then do something for me. Please show me, senior." Long Long said immediately. "Chuan Immortal, are you referring to 3 days later?" The beautiful island owner guessed the answer immediately and asked tentatively. The old turtle nodded slightly, and the island owner immediately understood, and said to Long Long kindly, "My Shenlong Island, long before the demon clan arrived in the East Empire realm, there was a mysterious relic of innate evolution here, and it was later discovered by the ancient Chuan clan. From ancient times to the present, countless great powers have entered the relic and tried to comprehend the mysterious avenue, but very few have gained anything from it. Chuan Immortal means that since you don't want to combine with Gilinga and give birth to offspring, then take her into the relic and comprehend the avenue, which can be regarded as repaying this favor." Long Long pondered slightly. Asking him to marry Gilinga is naturally coveting his high-level Yinglong bloodliner. The Kanglong clan is greedy, and the Chuan clan is no exception. But what does it mean to ask me to take Gilinga to level up? Is it because you heard that I once left Nanzhao with Longhu alone, and you think I have the ability to train? No, is it the ability to take care of little girls? He was puzzled, but Shio, as a senior of the Jialong clan, naturally knew the ancient friendship between the ancient Jialong ancestors and the Chuangui clan. Considering that the innate runes were first discovered by the ancient Chuan clan, maybe there are some manuscripts on the study of the Great Do hidden, which can only be obtained by the Jialong and Chuangui at the same time. Therefore, he immediately winked at Long Long, indicating that he didn't need to think too much and could agree. In this case, there is no reason for the junior to disobey. Long Long saw Shio's eyes, and thought clearly in his heart, so he decisively agreed. The little fox was dumbfounded. She was originally a little happy because Long Long decisively chose her, but in the end she knew that this cuckold lightbulb girl was going to follow brother Long Long and herself into the ruins that would be opened in 3 days. What was originally a good, long-awaited trip for 2 people, suddenly turned into a trip for 3. Damn it. It's all Long Long's fault. You sneaked out to transform, so why did you stay with this Chuan Immortal? Do you owe him a favor? Longhu gritted her teeth in hatred and gave Long Long an angry look that said, "I'll bite you to death." Long Long pretended not to understand her eyes and gave her a gentle smile that said, "Don't worry." Gilinga looked at Longhu, then at Long Long, and suddenly she became interested in their relationship. Chapter 480 Long Long will never breed. Since Long Long agreed, she ordered Longhu to take the 2 out and explain the details of the ruins to them. Longhu smiled sweetly, held Long Long with his left hand and Gilinga with his right hand, and left as if he had no grudges. As soon as he left the palace, Longhu turned around immediately, with an angry expression, and jumped into Long Long's arms skillfully, and then bit his shoulder. Gilinga was so shocked that she covered her mouth exaggeratedly, and was surprised. So powerful. So the so-called love is to bite each other when you meet? Long Long naturally didn't know that the little turtle beside him had never been in love, and was very good at thinking in a blind direction. He just silently grew dragon scales on his shoulders, which perfectly resisted the little fox's teeth. "Okay. Long Long, you are so powerful after the transformation." Long was tired of biting his cheeks, so he could only let go of his neck and said angrily, "Why don't you wait for me to transform together? You have such a rubbish cultivation, how long will it take before you can transform? Don't you have any idea in your heart?" Long Long complained in his heart, but said gently, "I'm afraid that you will worry, and you will practicing in seclusion. I'm afraid of disturbing your practice." Nonsense. Long was so angry that she pulled out her tail from under her skirt and slapped him in the face. "If you want to come to me, isn't it?" She was about to say, "Can't you teleport here at any time?" but found that there was an outsider around, so she stopped talking and stuffed her tail back into her skirt. "Are you from the Mao clan?" Gilinga asked curiously. "This fluffy tail, is it from the Kinkyo Sky Fox clan? Can't you see it?" Long didn't want to answer her question, but just asked back without any politeness. "Who knows?" Gilinga said playfully, "Maybe it's the Squirrel clan." What about you? Long Hu retorted, from the turtle clan. What turtle? Gilinga immediately became angry. Apparently turtle is also a swear word in the Donghuan realm, used to satirize the overly cowardly demon clan, Black Tortoise clan, don't you know? You're so ignorant. Oh, sorry. Long Hu sneered, I didn't see a turtle shell on your back. Okay. Long Long finally found an opportunity and interrupted and said, stop arguing, don't forget that the seniors are still in there. These words reminded Long Hu and Gilinga that even if they didn't care about their own elders, they had to consider that the other party's elders were also in there. It would be bad to attack by slandering the other race and accidentally hurt the other party's elders. I'll just briefly explain it this time. Long Hu said with an unhappy look on his face, the ruins will be opened in 3 days. After entering the ruins, immortals will be teleported to the inner circle. Those below the immortal level will be teleported to the outer circle. In the inner circle, only immortals can enter, so it has nothing to do with this. After we enter the outer circle, we must try to find the ruins built by the ancient Chuan clan inside, and look for anything that may be valuable. What exactly might it be? Gilinga frowned and asked. I don't know. Long Hu said directly, magic weapons, flying swords, elixirs, and even some jade slips that record information. We can keep the former for ourselves, and if it is a jade slip, we have to give it to the elders, and they will give us corresponding rewards. Oh. Gilinga was also a little unhappy, because we are both descendants who have not yet transformed. Why can Long Hu know so much in advance, but I don't know anything? Of course, she couldn't get angry with Chuan Immortal because of this, so she could only suppress her anger secretly. Is there any danger outside the ruins? Long Long asked. My aunt said that when entering the ruins, you will encounter some strange puzzle mechanism every day. Long Hu said sullenly, neither force nor cultivation can be used. You need enough intelligence to solve it. Intelligence. Long Long immediately breathed a sigh of relief. If you say that, I won't panic. Whether it is strategizing or being quick-witted on the spot, I am well trained and experienced. What is a puzzle? Gilinga didn't understand. Do you mean a puzzle like a test? No. Long Hu smiled and said, do you know about illusions? I don't know. Gilinga shook her head very simply. Then you'll know when you go there. Long Hu was too lazy to explain to her, and Gilinga was so angry that her face turned cold and her fists clenched. By the way, seeing that the tension between the two people was getting stronger, Long Long hurriedly interrupted and said, Fox, what did the tribe say this time? How long will you be allowed to come out? Originally, they didn't plan to let me out. Long Hu said a little irritably. Later, my aunt protested on behalf of the Fox tribe, and the tribe leader finally gave in. Long Long thought that it was Yuli who made the effort. It seems that the Kanglong tribe is also afraid of surprise from allies. What about Qin Zhao and Qin Yi? Gilinga asked with her arms folded. They should come too. They will arrive tomorrow. Long Hu wrinkled his nose and replied. Seeing that Long Hu was not jealous, Long Long secretly felt relieved. Another day later, the Qin brothers and sisters arrived here as expected, and the Qin family ancestor also came with them. Compared with the short Chuan Immortal, this Kanglong Immortal is a tall and thin old man with a straight back. When the Qin brothers and sisters saw Long Long, they greeted him enthusiastically. Long Long. Qin Zhao said with a smile, congratulations on your successful transformation. Brother Long. Qin Yu whispered, but didn't look at him, just hid behind Qin Zhao. Long Long. Seeing Qin Yi's expression, Long Long knew that she must have known about the marriage. Seeing the complicated look on the dragon fox next to him, Long Long was about to speak and try to fool him, but the Qin family ancestor waved at him. Long Long, come here. Long Long had no choice but to step forward and bowed. Ancestor. It's already transformed. The Qin family ancestor looked him up and down and praised, very outstanding bloodliner. If he marries you in the future, I will be relieved. Long Long shuddered suddenly and turned his head to look at Long Yu's expression. Fortunately, Long Yu and Qin Yu were together, whispering something, and it seemed that they had a good relationship. Why are you nervous? The Qin family ancestor patted his shoulder and said with a smile, with the status of your bloodliner, you'll definitely have many branches and leaves in the future. You and Yu both have dragon bloodliness, and they are responsible for the reproduction of the family. Even if they have objections, I, the ancestor, will make the decision for you. I have also heard about the request made by the old turtle. I saved you once, and you want you to leave seats for Chuan? What a joke. There is not enough for our clan to share. This time when we enter the Dragon Palace illusion, you take Gelinga with you once, and the account will be settled. If the old turtle refuses, I, the ancestor, will talk to him. You don't have to take it to heart. Thank you, ancestor. What else can Long Long say? He can only smile bitterly and salute respectfully. Although he is a pure love warrior with a single female protagonist, he can't resist the domineering and strong ancestor of Kanglong. After all, Long Long's bloodline on the maternal side is the fairy level Yinglong in the Locking Demon Tower, and its purity is higher than that of Longhu and Qinyi. Longhu only inherited half of the immortal level Yinglong bloodliner, while Qinyi inherited the immortal level Kanglong bloodliner from his ancestors, and after many generations of dilution, the breeding value of both is far less than Longlong. Considering the value of family first of the demon clan, it must be a second-level bloodliner, and the best bloodliner should be matched in reproduction. Therefore, Longlong can mate with other female dragons, but Longhu and Qinyi can only mate with Longlong. This is the result of the Kanglong ancestor's decision in the clan, and it is also that direct reason why he rejected the clan leader Qin Biowang's letting Longhu mate with Qin Zhao. The attitude of the Kanglong ancestor is so clear that Longlong secretly sees it clearly and makes up his mind. I, Longlong, will never be a breeding machine. Pretend to cater to them first, and then find an opportunity to take the little fox to escape to Beiming Fanyam. Send it to the destination, get the fragments of the booty and stone, and immediately abandon the personality and leave the Donghuang realm. You can dream about the spring and autumn period. Chapter 481. Strange script, linking the past and the present. The so-called secret realm means unknown, and realm means independent space. Most secret realms were opened up by predecessors, some for trials, some for treasures, and some for military purposes. But no matter what the situation is, it is ultimately for outsiders to come in, so there will be a certain logic to follow in the mechanism. In addition, there are a small number of secret realms that are naturally formed. Most of these secret realms do not follow logic, and even have very incredible mechanisms that people cannot understand at all. For example, in the East China Sea Palace secret realm, as long as the monks walk through it a few times, they can roughly summarize that there are 6 levels and what the test contents are. But in a naturally formed secret realm, it is difficult to summarize. Everyone who enters the ruins encounters different things. How to summarize? Unknown first, unexpected first, risk first. This is the innate ruins. The 3-day period has arrived, and everyone followed the beautiful woman island owner to the top of the central mountain range of the island. In addition to the ancestors of the demon tribe, there were also many young demon tribes that arrived later. Some had already transformed, some had not yet transformed, some were large demon tribes, some were small demon tribes, and all kinds of races stood here, which could be described as a riot of demons. Qinyi and Gelinga stood beside him and quietly introduced the demon tribes of various races to Long Long. Did you see that fat guy? He is from the Nya tribe of Sfengzhao, and his name is Mengyan. He is not very smart and easily irritable. Try not to pay attention to him. The tall woman is from the Kun tribe of Bizhou. What is her true form? Guess. Hehe, it's actually a pangolin. The long-haired man at the edge is from the leopard tribe of Shizhou. He is cruel and murderous. We don't like him very much. Qinyi and Gelinga commented on each person, and Long Long carefully wrote down the appearance and corresponding names one by one. Finally, as everyone retreated, it meant that the secret realm was about to open. The ground under his feet suddenly shook, and soon the entire mountain split to both sides, revealing a huge, terrifying crack in the middle. Without hesitation, the island's beautiful wife took the lead and stepped into the crack, falling down. Not wanting to be left behind, everyone jumped into the crack. Since Long Long had already entered the transformation stage, he naturally became the leader of this small group, leading the other 4 people into the abyss. As the height dropped rapidly, the surrounding rock walls also rose rapidly, and the light quickly dimmed. After a brief estimation, Long Long confirmed that his group had fallen below the sea level. Everyone continued to fall aimlessly. After an unknown amount of time, Long Long suddenly felt someone pushing him forward from behind. He staggered and fell into a certain space without being able to keep his balance. Long Long suddenly came to his senses and saw that he was sitting on the throne, leaning lazily with one hand on his chin. Next to the Emperor's throne was the slightly smaller Queen's throne, on which the mature Dragon Fox was sitting, with his hands neatly placed on his knees. The demon lords below stood in 5 rows, all of them were armed and fierce. Long Long's eyes swept over the crowd and saw Gelinga standing in a row at the Kun tribe leaders, while Qin Zhao and Qinyi, who looked solemn, stood in a row at the Lin tribe leaders. Black Turtle Patriarch. One of the Lin tribe looked at Geelinga with a bad face and asked gloomily, "What do you have to say? What's going on?" Seeing everyone looking at her, Geelinga shouted in confusion. As soon as the voice fell, everyone saw black in front of their eyes. When they woke up again, the scene was still the same. Long Long sat on the throne, with Long Hu beside him. The rest of the ministers stood in 5 rows according to scales, fur, horns, horn, and feathers. Some had solemn expressions on their faces, some were indifferent, and some were suspicious. "Black Turtle Patriarch, what do you have to say?" The Lin tribe member who had just spoken asked again with a hissing sound. Geelinga didn't understand yet, and hesitated again. "I don't know." Before she finished speaking, her eyes went dark again. Returning to the same scene for the 3rd time, the leader of the Scale tribe asked the same question again. Now, whether it was Long Yu, or the Keen sisters, they had roughly guessed the mechanism of this puzzle. To put it bluntly, this should be a story that has been written, and everyone must act according to the script. If you act wrong, you have to start over. Geelinga, the silly turtle, also realized that something was wrong, so she just kept silent. "Why doesn't the leader of the Black Turtle answer?" the Scale tribe asked again. Geelinga remained silent, and then, her eyes went dark. The 4th time, Long suddenly remembered something and asked Kunlun Mirror in his mind. "Mirror, this seems to be a bit like the Queen Mother of the West Secret Realm before. Do you see if there are any fragments of you around?" "I'm scanning." Kunlun Mirror also said excitedly, "Even if it's not my fragment, I think it's something related to the avenue of time and space." "Well, I can't confirm it now. You try to figure out what the script is, and I'll continue to scan it." "What script?" "There is no clue at all. How can I figure it out?" Long secretly complained, and then saw Geelinga looking at him with tears in her eyes for help. This turtle girl's brain is really not working well. No wonder the Chuan Immortal specially asked me to take her. Long laughed secretly in his heart, and said majestically, "Black Turtle Patriarch, from what you mean, do you have any objections?" Yes, Geelinga was also confused and could only answer subconsciously. There was no restart. In other words, the Black Turtle Patriarch she played was indeed in opposition in the script. As for who they are against and what issues they are against, they don't know. "But how can this be difficult for me?" Long sneered in his heart, and looked at the Scales who had just questioned Geelinga, and said slowly, "It seems that some ministers still don't understand. Maybe it was not clear enough before. You can say it again to her." "Yes, Your Majesty." The Scales immediately said excitedly, "I emphasize again. If you want to counterattack the human world, now is the best time. The civil strife of the human race has lasted for many years, and the major sects have attacked each other, and the whole has been weakened. If we miss this time window, there will definitely be a powerful person in the future to integrate the fragmented human race. By then, it will be too late to counterattack the human world." The Scales said it with great pride, and the others finally understood the general idea. In other words, the Empire played by Long wants to conquer the human world, and is currently mobilizing the ideology internally. The Black Tortoise tribe leader played by Geelinga and the forces behind her opposed the Emperor's decision to conquer. Geelinga suddenly realized, and saw the Scale tribe asked her coldly, "I wonder if the Black Tortoise tribe leader understands? Or does he have any other ideas?" Geelinga was about to speak, but Long was afraid that she would say something out of place without thinking, so he interrupted immediately. "Where are the others?" "Kirin tribe leader, I think you seem to have something to say." The Horned Kirin tribe leader sighed quietly and said in a muffled voice, "Since Your Majesty has asked for my opinion, I can only tell you the truth. If you have the right time but not the right place and people, you will rashly cross the border to counterattack and you will get into trouble." The ministers were immediately in an uproar when they heard this. Long also pretended to be furious and slapped the armrest of the Emperor's throne heavily. This voice is a bit familiar. He suddenly realized that this old Kirin, who was talking in a buzzing voice as if there was an echo in his chest, seemed to be the Kirin who slept at the gate of the Divine Palace all day and the resident of the Donghuangdao sect in southern Xinjiang. I was chatting with an editor friend recently, and he said that all the foreshadowing, twists, and revelations were fake, and it was better to just hang out with pretty girls. Me. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Mundo Fanfic Novelers, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelers. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 482A. New fragment of the Kunlun mirror. Thinking of this, if Long Long still hasn't realized that the reference object to this script design is Long's father, then he is too stupid. He angrily hit the armrest of the throne, then stood up and left without looking back. There is no redo. Sure enough, it doesn't mean that it must be completely in line with the script, but that it cannot cause a serious reversal of the general direction of the script. Why does it sound so much like a Jin's time and space paradox? Reading to the past is not allowed to change the general direction of history. With the departure of the emperor, the ministers looked at each other, but they were secretly relieved. Qin Zhao and Qin Yi followed the people of the Scale clan to leave, and winked at Qilinga, asking her to come out quickly. Long Yu snorted, stood up, and left closely following Long Long's steps. Back in the back hall, Long Long stood alone in the bedroom and saw Long Yu push the door in. Ahem. Long Long was not sure whether the mechanism was still effective, so he could only imitate Yin Long's expression and said affectionately, "Is the queen back?" Long was a little embarrassed, because she didn't know whether she should continue to play her mother at this time, so she could only nod reservedly. "Then let's go to bed," Long Long suggested. "Get some rest early." Just like replaying history, the more lines there are, the easier it is to make mistakes. On the other hand, if you don't say anything, the probability of making mistakes is very small. Long didn't have any opinions at this time, so she nodded with a red face. The demon race is not like human cultivators who like to replace sleep with meditation, so the two changed into pajamas and climbed into bed. Long Long hugged Long Yu's petite body and buried his nose in her hair. Suddenly, he felt something fluffy wrapped around his calf. Oh, it was a foxtail. Go to sleep quickly. Long Long carefully felt the soft body in his arms, and his originally tense reason relaxed a little, and said comfortingly, "Yeah." Long nodded gently. The screen went black. The two had just laid down on the bed, and then their movements froze. Starting over. In other words, according to the script, they can't sleep here, but have to say the lines. And, these lines are very important, so once they're skipped, they will be judged as out of play. Although there is no place to understand the script, Long Long has roughly locked the possible direction with some memories and associations. Why did Yin Long want to counterattack the human world? According to his guess, it should be for Long Hu Mother. Long Hu Mother is the daughter of Yin Xiaojing. Yin Xiaojing could obviously get the Qin's human sword but gave it up, causing Long Hu Mother to become a sinner's daughter in a sense. Yin Long can marry Long Hu Mother against all odds, but he can't get her social status back, so he wants to rebuild his prestige by counterattacking the human world. The result is unfortunate. Yin Long was defeated and trapped in the demon locking tower. Long Hu Mother sensed that the crisis was approaching, and Long Hu's physical condition was worrying at the time, so she defected and left Qingqiu directly. Perhaps after a long time, the trapped Yin Long finally learned from Li that Long Hu's mother had rebelled against the tribe and disappeared a long time ago, and naturally guessed that she had probably met with an accident, and thus lost all her spirit. He was even willing to imprison himself in the locking demon tower, escaping from reality, afraid of learning about the death of his wife and daughter. What a waste. Based on the existing clues, Long Long made up Yin Long's life, and roughly guessed the general plot of this script. Fox. Long Long hugged Long Hu's body and said gently, "I will give you an identity." Long Hu. She didn't react for a while, but when she found that there was no trigger mechanism to restart, she immediately guessed that this was the script. Therefore, when my mother and father were together, they actually always endured huge criticism and malice from the outside world. It was precisely in order to gain identity and status for my mother that my father abandoned me and my mother to attack the human world. Thinking of this, the little fox couldn't help but burst into tears, and tears dripped on Ling Long's hands. Ling Long. Why are you crying? He hugged Long Hu tightly. Long Hu turned around and buried her face in his arms. I thought of my mother and father back then. His eyes went dark. Back to the beginning of the bedroom, Ling Long was furious. What the hell? Suddenly, the word father and mother popped up. Have you forgotten that you are still in a fantasy? However, seeing the little fox's tearful look, he immediately lost the idea of scolding her. Although she is an adult physically, she is still a child psychologically. There was no replay of this time, which means that according to the design of the script, the queen role can cry. However, the reason for crying is not because the daughter loves her father and mother, but because of the wife's gratitude to her husband. Then, just induce her to say similar lines. After thinking about Zhaoding again, Long Long hugged Long Hu and said gently, "Don't cry. I told you that I will give you an explanation. I don't need it." Long Yu sobbed and shook her head. I just hope you are safe and I don't want you to take risks in the human world. This is what she really thinks. At this moment, the little fox, how much she hopes that her father will not go to counterattack the human world, and thus be forced to separate from her and her mother. Long Long was relieved when he saw that there was no repetition, and continued to persuade her. Hun, this is not only for the future of both of us, but also for our children. Because of your mother's reputation, you have suffered so much in the past. Do you want our children to grow up in such an environment in the future? When she heard how much you have suffered in the past, Long Lu burst into tears and couldn't speak, and her tears wet the pillow. Seeing her so sad, Long Long could only sigh secretly. It is said that fox girls are passionate, and I have really seen it today. Long Hu's grandmother was a spy, but she was not loyal to her duty. In order for her husband to leave the consuming sword in the world, she went back alone to face the hostility of the entire demon clan. Long Hu's mother betrayed the entire fox clan for her child and ran to Nanzhou where she was seriously injured and died. Her soul was able to survive for more than 100,000 years, waiting for Long Long, the reliable young man, to arrive here. The power of love is so terrifying. If the little fox inherits the affectionate character of her mother and grandmother, will she? It really won't work when I get the booty and stone and confront her in the future. If I confront her, she will definitely not care about anything and must keep me in the Donghuan realm. In this case, what should the senior sisters and junior sisters in the human world do? Well, I mean, what should I do with the booty and stone fragments in the human world? Should I still save the world? Thinking of this, Long Long hugged Long Yu, but his heart became more and more determined to run away after getting the booty and stone fragments. Then, the screen went black again. The two of them were no longer lying on a soft bed, but soft grass. Qilinga, Qin Zhao, and Qin Yi sat up from the ground nearby. At the time in the script, they had already laid down on the bed to rest, and then they were suddenly teleported here. Long Long let go of Dragon Fox, propped himself up, and looked around again. Is the illusion over? I found it. Kunlun Mirror said in his mind, there is indeed a fragment of mine here, but it seems to be in the inner circle of the ruins, and with the help of the rune's own mechanism, it continues to radiate power to the outer circle, causing you to fall into these illusions. In fact, they are all fragments intercepted from the world line. I just helped you temporarily block its power, so the illusion ended automatically. I see. Long Long nodded approvingly. You are worthy of it, my mirror. But the inner circle of the runes requires the immortal level to enter, so we still have to take a long-term view and work slowly to retrieve your fragments. No need. Kunlun Mirror said hurriedly, I have a way to bypass the screening rules of the ruins. Listen to me, really? That's great, you don't have to say it anymore. Long Long interrupted it immediately. You want me to enter the inner circle of the runes and fight with those demon ancestors? What a joke. Chapter 483 Someone is targeting my fox again. After a while, everyone finally explored the area. This should be the periphery of the ruins, with large forests and meadows. And surrounded by forests and meadows in the center are endless mountains. The mountains are surrounded by heavy fog, and the closer you get, the more resistance you will encounter. Long Long, who is at the transformation stage, can go deeper than everyone else, but he still can't enter the mountain. Obviously, his cultivation level is better than others, but he still hasn't reached the threshold to enter the mountain. The ancestors of various tribes at the immortal stage, as well as a fragment of the Kunlun Mirror, are all deep in the mountains, in the center of the ruins. Although Arjun seems to have a little temper, it is completely unrealistic to consider how to enter the mountains with everyone's current cultivation. Therefore, Long Long just led everyone to look for any place that might be a rune on the periphery of the mountain. According to the predecessors, the ancient Chuan clan, that is, the Black Tortoise and the Jiaoshe clan, have been stationed here for at least 2,000 years and have conducted long-term research on a certain avenue inside the ruins. Therefore, the Demon clan is now also taking a two-pronged approach. On the one hand, the immortal ancestors went into the ruins to study the so-called Great Door directly. On the other hand, the younger generations were asked to search for any manuscripts and materials about the Great Door that the ancient Chuan clan might have left outside the ruins. Considering the preciousness of these manuscripts and materials, as well as the illusions that appeared regularly outside, the younger generations who were finally selected to participate in the search for the ruins were all young, excellent, and reliable forces trusted by the elders within each clan. Of course, precisely because of the high hopes and pressure placed on them by the clan, these younger generations from different demon clans definitely had no mutual trust with each other. During the search, Long Long always maintained a high level of vigilance and tried to avoid encountering other demon clan teams. Anyway, if they did, they would basically be enemies rather than friends. Long Long. In the forest, the dragon fox suddenly said vigilantly, "There is a team following us." "Are you sure?" Gilingo frowned and asked, "How did you find out?" This question was a bit too much. After all, the cultivators of each clan had their own secret skills and magical powers. How could they be so rash as to ask directly? Long Hu just said smell perfunctorily, and then looked at Long Long. Long Long thought quickly. According to the information Long Hu got from Uli, before entering the ruins of Shenlong Island, the various tribes had already jointly set the rules, try to avoid competition with too large a difference in cultivation. After all, if you send out low-level little demons who have not yet transformed, and I send out Jinn and demon cultivators in the transformation realm, then in order to win me, you will change to a high-level demon king in the cave realm. If you continue to upgrade layer by layer, it will definitely become a situation where high-level cultivators in the tribe kill each other in the end. Therefore, when selecting their descendants, the various tribes agreed to limit the selection criteria to the untransformed category. Of course, even if rules are formulated to avoid unfavorable competition, there are still families that try their best to play tricks on it, such as, "Oh, sorry, I originally chose a descendant who had not yet transformed, but I didn't expect that he suddenly transformed in the past few days, and we were also caught off guard." Considering that it is indeed impossible to avoid the transformation and tribulation, and it is impossible to change people at the last minute, everyone can only accept it with a pinch of the nose. After being disgusted once, the various tribes have become more cautious and deliberately choose those monks who were about to transform and cross the tribulation. The so-called involution environment is created in this way. Based on this information, it is speculated that the team chasing us may be all untransformed little demons, or it may be a transformation level monk with other little demons. Considering that the other party dares to follow him directly, the probability of the latter is very high. Get rid of them. Long Long made a decision, speed up, go. Everyone immediately showed their magical powers. Qin Zhao and Qin Yi used the Dragon Clan's magical power driving the mist and clouds, and a faint cloud surrounded them, allowing the two to fly flexibly in the air and shuttle freely in the forest. The Dragon Fox also used the Fox tribe's footwork. God travels 100 miles, and the speed of leaping in complex terrain increased by almost 3 times, and the speed was even faster than Qin Zhao and Qin Yi. Gilinga hesitated for a moment, then decisively jumped onto Long Long's back, hugged him tightly from behind, and instantly jumped to the front of the team. "What are you doing?" The Dragon Fox went crazy, and its speed increased countless times again, rushing behind Long Long and trying to drag Gilinga down. "I don't have a secret method to speed up." Gilinga cried helplessly. "We Chuan will never consider speeding up." "That's true," Qin Zhao explained beside him. "The secret methods of the Chuan clan are mostly defensive, followed by attack, and there are almost no speed-type magical powers. You can't hang it on his back." The little fox gritted his teeth in anger. "I'll carry you." "I'll carry you, okay." "No." Gilinga refused directly. "If it were you, you would definitely find a place to throw me away." Facing this stubborn little turtle, the Dragon Fox was also very angry and could only pounce on Long Long's back and try to squeeze Gilinga off. The Qin brother and sister followed behind, watching Long Long carrying 2 girls at the same time and charging in front, and couldn't help but look at each other. "Sister, why don't you try it too?" Qin Zhao encouraged him to watch the fun. "How can I get up there?" Qin Yi rolled his eyes. "Sit on top of him." Although Long Long had already transformed, the cultivation level of the pursuers was equally strong, and there were 2 burdens behind him who were struggling, so after running for about 3/4 of an hour, he still couldn't get rid of the pursuers behind him. "Forget it, change the strategy." Long Long sighed. "Let's turn around and meet the enemy." Gilinga and Long Yu then jumped off from behind him, glaring at each other. "When the pursuers come later, I will first take action to entangle the opponent's transformation level cultivator, and you go to deal with the others." Long Long carefully instructed. "Gilinga, your clan is good at defense, and the task of rushing to the front is left to you. Qin Zhao and Qin Yi, you cover Gilinga from the left and right wings. Long Yu, you use the Sky Fox illusion to interfere with the enemy in the back, and be careful not to interfere with my battle with the transformation level cultivator." Of course, everyone knew the pros and cons, so they all agreed. Soon, the pursuit team rushed out of the forest. Before entering the ruins, Long Long, Gilinga, Qin Zhao and Qin Yi memorized the appearance of everyone present. At this time, he immediately recognized that the leader was from the leopard clan of Shizhou, named Bao Inu. It is said that he is extremely cruel and murderous, notorious, and feared by other tribes in Shizou. Baoyin rushed out of the forest with the little demons. His narrow eyes under his messy hair turned a few times, but he did not rush to attack. Instead, he locked his sight on the dragon fox at the back, squeezed out a flattering smile on his face, and said, "Greetings, Your Highness, I am here on the orders of the White Tiger clan to take Your Highness back to Shizou." The dragon fox had no expression on his face. Long Long sneered, Geelingler was a little confused, and Qin Zhao and Qin Yi's faces changed drastically. This leopard villain chased us, and he actually wanted to target the dragon fox. Chapter 484 I, Long Long, am truly invincible. If the human clan pays the most attention to the cultivation talent of the disciples, then the most concerned thing for the various demon clans is the bloodline rank of the clan members. Since everyone has been mixing sand into each other's clans for tens of thousands of years, the existence of the dragon fox is not a top secret. Even Ali of the Kinkyu Fox clan knows about it. The White Tiger clan, the ruler of Shizou, naturally cannot be kept in the dark for a long time. Covet her blood. Long Long's bloodline rank is higher, so of course everyone covets it more. But Long Long is a purebred dragon bloodliner after all. As the leader of the Fur clan, the White Tiger clan cannot invite a dragon back to worship, so they only covet it secretly. The dragon fox is different. She has the blood of the Fox clan. The Fox clan is a branch of the Fur clan, and the Fur clan is ruled by the White Tiger clan of Shizou. Therefore, the White Tiger clan also has the right to claim the ownership of the dragon fox in theory, that is, every fox is a part of our big family in Shizou. As for the proportion of the dragon fox's bloodliner, whether it is more from the dragon clan or the Fox clan, the White Tigers don't know. Even if you know, you have to pretend not to know. I suggest you come to Shizou to check it out. Long Long could see the thoughts of these Mal-tribe monks, and he was secretly angry. The little fox has fallen in love with me, and it's your turn to interfere? I'm a pure love warrior, and I will punish you severely. Thinking of this, Long Long directly raised the Longyin immortal sword and stabbed the Baoyi slave directly. Baoyi slave was shocked and angry, and quickly swung his claws back, trying to catch Longyin in his hand. His physical resistance to the sword was not overconfidence and arrogance, but because the demon race has a strong body that can fight against the flying sword, which makes many demon races prefer to attack with themselves. Long Long naturally would not give him a chance to show off. When the sword formula turned, Longyin spun lightly and barely slipped away from his fingers. Baoyi slave had never seen such a delicate swordsmanship, and was slightly startled. Long Long had already stepped forward and punched him with one hand. If Chuan was the best at defense, then Kanglong is known for its strength. Baoyin didn't dare to take the punch head-on. He just quickly used the footwork that the Mal tribe was best at, dodged the blow to the side in an instant, and then rushed forward again to counter-attack, cutting with his claws with a low whistle. Long Long turned around and raised his right arm elbow to hold Baoyin's wrist. The left-hand sword tactics changed continuously, and Longyin came out from behind that tree and stabbed Baoyin's back of the head silently. This move is called false and real in the Shushan two-handed sword control technique. A fake sword in front, and a killer move in the back. If the opponent is on guard from the back at the beginning, he can also change the fake and real at any time, turning the front cover into a killer move. The leopard demon didn't know the secret of the human swordsmanship. He just heard the wind behind his head, snorted in his heart, and said, "You want to plot against me with this?" Then he swung his head to the side and dodged Longyin's sneak attack. Then he was punched by Long Long from the front and flew away. On the other side, the pursuit team led by the Baoyi slaves consisted of 2 leopard demons and 1 wolf demon. As none of them had completed their transformation, these 3 little demons, although in human form, still had beards on their faces and tails swaying behind them. Geelingler was so panicked when she escaped before that she clung to Long Long's back and refused to get off. This time, she was very brave when she encountered a battle. She was the first to charge out, with her hands across her chest and making hand gestures. The wolf demon was the most youthful and vigorous, so he blocked away and rushed in front of her, tearing at her fiercely with his claws. Geelingler didn't even look at him, but just stretched out her hand to block it. The wolf demon's claws tore at her hands, making a sharp sound like hitting metal. Seeing that the claws couldn't tear it open, the other party changed its claws to grab, clamped her arm, and tried to flip Geelingler over. As a result, when she flipped her over, she found that the other party seemed to be 1,000 pounds heavy. Not to mention flipping her over, the little turtle didn't even move, and was very stable. So the wolf demon immediately used the third move, whipping the tail behind him like a long whip. These 3 sharp and decisive moves are the basic moves that the White Tiger clan opens to all the Mal clan in Shizou. They are also called the Fierce Tiger going down the mountain style. The essence lies in 1 pounce, 1 lift, and 1 cut. If the ordinary little demon is not very strong, it will be killed by the first pounce. If the slightly capable one is blocked by the pounce, it will change to a huge force to flip the opponent, making the opponent lose balance, and then pounce to kill. If the opponent is really strong and can't even lift it, it can only whip with the tail. The tail looks soft, but in fact, it can be operated with the mental method of the tiger going down the mountain. It can become as hard as a steel whip, which is enough to smash a rock several feet high. If the opponent is not careful and is hit by this tail, the tendons and bones will be broken immediately, and the combat power will be greatly damaged. However, the Chuan clan can become one of the 5 major demon clans in the Eastern Empire realm. How can its defensive secret method be so easy to crack? The tail whipped Gilinga's leg, just like a willow branch hitting a rock, and there was no reaction at all. The wolf demon was stunned when he saw this, and his mind went blank. Qin Zhao took the opportunity to rush to his side and blew his head with 1 punch. The 2 leopard demons who were unable to rescue were immediately furious. One of them pinched the Taoist formula and activated his magical power, and gusts of black wind appeared out of thin air, sweeping towards Gilinga and others. As the saying goes, clouds follow dragons and winds follow tigers. The Scale tribe is good at manipulating clouds and mist, while the Hare tribe is good at manipulating wind and sand. As soon as the large black wind blew, the visibility in front immediately decreased, and almost nothing could be seen. Qin Yi immediately took out his magic weapon, which was a huge banana leaf fan. With just 1 fan, all the black wind and sand in front was swept away. However, the 2 leopard demons had already taken advantage of the cover of the wind and sand and quietly raided to a very close distance. At this time, the wind and sand had just retreated, and the 2 immediately rushed out, but bypassed Gilinga, who had extremely high defense, and pounced on Qin Zhao and Qin Yi brothers and sisters from the left and right. Then, as if he suddenly saw something terrifying, he stopped involuntarily, and trembled all over. Long Hu hid behind, maintaining the control of the 2 people with illusion. Qin Zhao and Qin Yi took the opportunity to rush out and killed the 2 who could not fight back. They easily eliminated the wolf monster and leopard monster with 4 against 3, but the boy slave over there had no time to care about anything else, because Long Long was too strong and almost suppressed him the whole time. Although he had long known that Long Long's bloodline rank was as high as Long Hu, he did not expect his fighting power to be even more outrageous. Thinking of this, boy slave immediately became ruthless in his heart, suddenly leaned over and fell to the ground, his 4 feet were flying, and he activated some kind of secret method of escape, and washed away from the spot. It is said that among these scale-haired, horned and feather-bone, the fastest one is the feather tribe, followed by the hare tribe, which is known for its flexibility. Once the opponent's secret escape method of the Mal tribe was used, even the naked eye could hardly lock onto his figure. He shuttled through the forest like a flash and disappeared in a flash. If we were to chase him down, I guess only Qiu Chang's Shiandu Thunder and Ling Yunpo's body and sword combination would have a chance. Of course, the monsters are good at magical powers related to their own bloodliness. Long Long could not suddenly use thunder magic or the unity of man and sword, and then say that he learned it accidentally. In that case, even if others did not say it, they would definitely be suspicious. Therefore, Long Long only symbolically raised the dragon's roar and shot a few swords in the direction of his escape, and did not chase him. Spare his life this time and ask him to bring a stronger fighter next time. Otherwise, I won't be satisfied with the fight. I almost couldn't come back. Chapter 485. Please pay attention to me. The battle was over soon, and everyone began to clean up the battlefield. It is said that in ancient times, the customs of demons were even more cruel than this. They would chop off the heads of the enemy's corpses, and even eat raw meat and drink blood. Today, everyone has become civilized. After searching for things, burn the corpses to avoid being discovered and causing trouble later. Gilinga quickly divided the spoils into 4 parts, and then unceremoniously occupied the most valuable one, saying, "This one belongs to me." Qin Zhao had a mild temper and was unwilling to argue with her. Qin Yi was a little unwilling, but when he saw that his brother was silent, he looked at Long Long for help. Long Long took a closer look at the spoils. What crooked melons and cracked dates? Is the demon clan's refining technology so rotten? These things are not worth improving in our Tiangong workshop, so why not just throw them back to the furnace? I'll give you mine. He waved his hand at Qin Yi and said. Kinyi smiled immediately, thinking, is this asking me to be the housekeeper? Dragon Fox originally looked down on these low-level magic tools. After all, whether it was the things left by their mother to the two of them, or the Dongfang Wan Jin glass lamp and fish and fire crow tube that they had looted from the Fuzan ruins, they all looked much better than these. But when she saw Long Long giving them to Kinyi, she suddenly felt a little jealous. Shouldn't I be the housekeeper? Thinking about it carefully, Kinyi and she had a good personal relationship, and Dragon Fox usually regarded herself as a sister, so it was not easy to argue with her about these things. But it was always okay to lose your temper at Long Long. So the little fox glared at Long Long fiercely. Long Long was also puzzled, but the fox had a season more than once or twice. As long as you pretend not to notice that she was angry, this little temper is still a bit cute. Kinyi was happily counting the spoils, and suddenly he said, Brother Long, come and look at this. Long Long walked over when he heard the words, and saw Kinyi handed him a piece of bamboo. Is this a map? After carefully examining the marks on the bamboo, Long Long determined that this was a temporary map. The map marked the nearby terrain, forests, rivers, mountains in the south, and a pattern that looked like a building. Let's go here next. Long Long pointed to the building. Everyone agreed. Leading everyone to the direction marked on the map, Long Long asked Kunlin Jing again in his heart. A Jin, how have you cracked the illusion mechanism in the secret realm? Kunlin Jing ignored him. A Jin, you have to understand my difficulties. Long Long said earnestly, the interior of the ruins is full of immortals and big guys rolling in. How can I, at my level, roll them in? Kunlin Jing still ignored him. Long Long continued to persuade impatiently. A Jin, when my cultivation is sufficient, I will go to get the fragment for you, okay? I will go to get the fragment immediately after I ascend to heaven. Can you pay more attention to my affairs? Kunlun Mirror suddenly said, my original body fell from Yo Chai and broke into 5 pieces. How many pieces have been found now? Long Long began to count carefully. There is 1 piece in Zhao Palace in the secret realm of Queen Mother of the West, 1 piece in Dongji Palace under Wukikayuan Cave, and 1 piece in Jinglu Palace in Nanjiang, so there are 3 pieces. There is another piece in the Demon Locking Tower. Kunlun Mirror said angrily, you don't take my affairs seriously, right? Long Long smiled awkwardly, thinking that it was such a long time ago. I'm not Luo Yan's template now, how can I remember it? If this is a novel, ask those readers, can you remember where in the previous volumes Kunlun Mirror said that the fragments are in the Demon Locking Tower? It is impossible to remember. Of course, Long Long couldn't tell the truth. He just said oh as if he had suddenly realized something, and said in surprise, I thought so. I actually always vaguely remember that there was something important in the Demon Locking Tower. I will hurry to get it after I form the pill. I just can't remember what it is for a while. Isn't it your fragment, Jin? Look, when Senior Sister and I discovered the Baiyuzhang secret realm in Jianmu Mountain, didn't the head of Yuzhang in Shushang give me a Demon Locking Tower order that can be used to explore the Demon Locking Tower once? I even prepared the method to enter for you a long time ago. Kunlin Jing thought to himself, I'm not one of those girls who likes you, how can I be fooled by your words? You clearly didn't remember it at all just now. However, thinking that he has the Demon Locking Tower order, he can enter the Demon Locking Tower alone at any time to search, instead of going on a group tour like the last time after the competition, and time is tight and there are people watching. Kunlin Jing also felt a little joy and hope. In short, it decided not to bother with this guy, except for the fragment in the Demon Locking Tower. This is the last one inside the ruins. If you remember how good I have been to you over the years, you should have helped me collect the fragments of the body earlier, so that I can help you more later, right? That's the truth. Long Long said seriously, it's just that the immortals, even if they're immortals, they can't see through my illusions. Kunlun Mirror said domineeringly, just go in, and let a Jin help you think of a way. This, okay then. Seeing that Kunlun Mirror said this, Long Long knew that he could no longer refuse or perfunctorily, otherwise he would really piss her off, so he could only hesitate to agree. Before night fell, everyone finally arrived at the location marked on the map. I saw that there was indeed a stone building here, and it was highly likely that it had not been explored by anyone. Because there was a poisonous python coiled at the entrance. What do you mean? Gilinga turned around and asked. If it were another monster, she would have rushed up long ago. But this poisonous python is from the Scale clan after all, and the other 4 people in the team except her have dragon blood, which makes her feel that it is not easy to intervene. Long Long looked at the poisonous python and exerted his dragon power. Get lost. The poisonous python raised its head and spit out its snake tongue, as if it was suppressing its killing intent. However, the dragon's power has a deterrent effect on all monsters, especially on the scale clan with clear class concepts. After hesitating for a while, the poisonous python still did not dare to whack rashly in front of the real dragon, so it twisted its body and swam away. Let's go. Long Long led everyone into the ruins. About a quarter of an hour later, the ruins were searched by everyone. Most of the rooms inside were empty, but the careful Qin Zhao found a jade slip that was accidentally dropped in a corner under a table and was not discovered by the owner. Let me take a look. As the leader, Long Long took it upon himself to check the contents. His spiritual consciousness probed into it, and many words, patterns, images and sounds slowly unfolded. What a coincidence. Long Long and Kunlun Jin laughed. Look, Jin, the way to went to the mountains and the ruins is right here, isn't it? Humph. Kunlun Jin wanted to be reserved for a while, but soon couldn't help laughing. Let me say this. After Jin collected all the fragments of his body, he had the ability to transform. Chapter 486 The Establishment of Beiming Fanyan. Everyone was very excited to find the relevant information. I would like to add that since the demons rely on swallowing the essence of the sun and the moon to improve their cultivation, the rank of their demon pills and cave essences mainly depends on their own bloodline, not like humans, which can be improved by using the secret medicine of the Purple Mansion. Therefore, these demon clan children are not keen on external training, and naturally they do not have much experience in obtaining treasures from the ruins. With Qin Zhao's harvest, everyone dispersed again to check various corners to see if there are any magic weapons and artifacts that have been missed. It's a pity that it's lucky to find one piece of information, but it's unlikely to find two. After all, Mishi is not here. Long Long is more concerned about the information recorded in the jade slip. According to Yujian, the central ring mountain range is surrounded by a layer of sticky fog, and those below the fairy level are like entering a quagmire in it and can't move at all. Even immortals have to work hard to fight against the fog. However, the ancient Chuan clan used the Black Tortoise secret method to dig an underground passage in a building somewhere on the periphery, deep into the inner ruins of the mountain. When Long Long saw this, he immediately came up with a plan. Let A. Jin set a coordinate here, and then let A. Jin teleport here after everyone leaves the ruins. In this way, there is no need to fight with the immortals inside. The jade slip also records that there are many traps and enemies in the ruins, which are difficult for even the immortals to deal with. The former can be bypassed by A. Jin's scanning, and the latter can be avoided by A. Jin's illusion. Anyway, it's all about finding A. Jin's body fragments, and leaving them all to A. Jin. Thinking of this, Long Long felt that the plan was extremely thorough and could be said to be impeccable. Pay attention. Kunlun Mirror suddenly said, the illusion is coming again. Has the impact of your body fragments on the outside world not been blocked yet? Long Long asked with a frown. After all, it is my original body's ability, how can it be blocked so easily? Kunlun Mirror said helplessly, it's already a great honor for me to give you a forecast, okay? If it was someone else, they would be dragged into the illusion without knowing it. Okay, thanks to my mirror. Long Long thought that he might have to ask for help from this broken mirror in the illusion, so he could only swallow his anger. After a few breaths, the scene suddenly changed. Long Long saw that he was standing on the shell, and next to him was Gilinga, who was stunned. The shell under his feet turned out to be the back of a huge black turtle. The black turtle floated on the vast ocean, and there were countless relatively smaller turtles floating around, but each turtle was about hundreds of feet in size. The air was occupied by the dragon clan. They flew in the sky on the clouds, guarding against all possible attacks around them. Behind the two of them, there were also many transformed monsters standing. The ones in green were the Jialong clan, and the ones in black were the Black Turtle clan. Everyone looked extremely serious, their eyes focused on Long Long and Gilinga, as if waiting for them to speak. Say something. Gilinga signaled with her eyes. Long Long thought so too, with the stupidity of this little turtle, if you ask her to use any quick wits, she will definitely come back infinitely. Therefore, Long Long turned to look at the Jialong tribe member closest to him and asked, what do you think? Patriarch. The other party said respectfully, the alliance with the Black Turtle tribe is a major policy decided by your ancestors. I'm a small person and dare not make any comments. Then Long Long and Gilinga suddenly realized. In other words, the two of them played the roles of the patriarchs of the Jialong and Black Turtle tribes, and this was the venue for the two tribes to sign a strategic alliance agreement. Isn't that simple? Gilinga was overjoyed. Sign. No, why are you so happy? Long Long was also speechless. The Jialong tribe and your Black Turtle tribe have already terminated their alliance cooperation, right? But since there was no do-over, it means that the Black Turtle chief in the script is also a fool. This is good, she played her true self. Referring to the respectful attitude of the tribe member when answering him just now, the veteran actor Long Long immediately sketched out the image of the Jialong chief in his mind. He said majestically and domineeringly, "Well, sign it." The Jialong and Black Turtle tribe members in the back immediately presented the contract. The two of them signed in 4 copies. After signing, Gilinga held Long Long's hands tightly and said, "From now on, our 2 tribes are allies." Seeing her sincere look, Long Long didn't know for a moment whether the other party was just acting or hinting at something. Could it be that this little turtle is not a fool, but a wise fool? Long Long thought seriously for a moment, and then decided not to think about what the fool was thinking, but to act like a show, and said seriously, "Not bad. From now on, our tribes will be called Chuanwu." The Jialong and Chuangui tribesmen behind him cheered tactfully. After a while, someone came to report that they had arrived at the North Pole magnetic point of the East Empire realm. The scene became strangely quiet again, and everyone turned their eyes to the 2 tribe leaders again, as if waiting for them to say something. Long Long was silent for a moment, and just as he was about to speak, his eyes suddenly went dark. "It's back." A jing. He blamed in his heart, how come the acting mechanism of this illusion is so similar to your synchronization value requirements? And the difficulty is too high, I don't even know the script to act. I didn't pay attention for a moment, and it was back. Can you stop making things like this to make things difficult for others? Can you be a good mirror? Kumlan Mirror also sighed. In the past, it would probably be puzzled again, and could only defend itself aggrievedly. However, after so many years, it has also learned a lot of experience from Cheng Yuan's unit, so it casually responded, okay, I'm wrong. You quickly find my fragments, and I'll teach it a lesson for you. Long Long. Wait, what do you mean by teach it a lesson for me? To put it bluntly, you actually pushed all the troubles caused by your fragments onto it, right? Despicable. Too despicable. Your character is like debris, you know. He was speechless for a while, and could only follow that previous routine and continue to act with Gilinga. The second time the script was repeated, Gilinga's acting was very reluctant, and she was too lazy to even pretend to be happy after signing the alliance agreement. After signing the agreement, Long Long immediately learned from the last lesson and turned around and asked, "Have you reached the North Pole magnetic point?" "Not yet." The other party said hurriedly, "About 4 or 5 miles away." "Are you ready for the rest of the work?" Long Long quickly put on a majestic posture and asked sternly. Replying to the clan leader, "Everything is ready." The Jialong tribe member quickly replied, "Elder Cheng Sao said that the formation master who built the secret realm is ready, and the work responsibilities of the other tribe members have been assigned. When we arrive at the North Pole magnetic point, the Elder will personally command and supervise the construction. Building the secret realm?" Long Long understood it instantly. This secret realm, I think, refers to the Beiming Fanyang secret realm where the Jialong tribe lived later. Thinking of the later alliance between the Jialong tribe and the Black Turtle tribe broke down, and then the Black Turtle monopolized the name of Chuan and formed an alliance with the Kulin tribe. Then Yinglong disappeared, the Jialong lost power, and the Black Turtle searched for Jialong everywhere in the Beiyang, but never found the location of Beiming Fanyang, clan leader Yi. Long Long immediately smiled, "Since the agreement has been signed, let's put our tribe members and materials here." Gilinga. There is no context for this, and she didn't understand what it meant. But seeing that there was no repetition, the little turtle followed his meaning and told the tribe member next to him, "Then stop here." Chapter 487 Return to Shenlong Island. The Beiming Fanyang of the Jialong clan is information that needs to be kept absolutely confidential to the clan, and can only be known to the absolutely loyal and core clan members. Even close allies cannot let the other party know, otherwise, just look at what Long Long and Long Lu got after entering the Fuzang secret realm of the Jingwu clan, and you can roughly understand it. After the Black Turtle clan left, Long Long began to inspect and spy on the construction technology of the secret realm as the clan leader. To open up a secret realm, the original continuous space here must be interrupted first. The formation masters of the Jialong clan used a space-cutting formation called Wakai. This formation has been lost now, so the various secret realms that have been preserved to this day are basically created in ancient times. With a great sense of mission to reappear the lost formation in the world, Long watched the formation techniques of these formation masters throughout the process. It must be said that there is a reason why this formation was lost. They're really too complicated, and their complexity is second only to the great formation in the original Guide Q Palace. Hundreds of array masters went into battle together, spreading the array patterns hundreds of miles away. Even though Long had extremely strong array attainments, he did not have Luo Yam's quick understanding of everything, and it was impossible for him to remember the work content of these hundreds of array masters. There was no other way. Arjun, scan. While Kunlun Mirror was busy scanning, Long was not idle either. He just continued to play the role of the overbearing patriarch and asked the elder Chang Shao, who was in charge of supervising the construction, about the secret realm. We don't plan to fix the entrance to the secret realm of Beiming Fanning in a certain place. Elder Chang Shao stroked his beard and said proudly, because if the enemy wants to find the entrance to our secret realm, based on the name Beiming Fanning, they will definitely search from the sea. They certainly didn't expect us to hide it in an iceberg and let it float freely on the sea. Long thought carefully for a moment, and then looked at the many icebergs in the distance, and had to admit that it was true. Who would have thought that the entrance to the secret realm would be set in an iceberg floating everywhere? What if the iceberg collides with other icebergs? What if it drifts to the warm South China Sea and melts? The most important thing is, what if the tribe members cannot find the entrance after they go out? There are more than 100,000 icebergs in the Beiming Fanning. Can you consider the user experience? Thinking of the fact that the Chuan tribe has controlled the Bizhao High for so long, but they can't find the entrance to the Beiming Fanning at all, Long was silent for a long time before nodding and saying, "Indeed, safety is the first priority. The tribe leader has a good idea." Elder Chang Xiao laughed. After another half a day, the general framework of the secret realm was laid out. Just when the array masters were about to design the interior of the secret realm, the illusion suddenly shattered. Long. Back in the original room, Long said with a dissatisfied expression, "Ajin, what's going on? I haven't learned the formation techniques behind it yet." "Are you learning? Aren't I scanning and recording for you?" Kunlun Mirror wanted to scold him, but he said, "I have tried my best to extend it for you, but the illusion is only this long, and the power radiation of the fragments of the main body is also limited. It's so disappointing." Long complained, "For the next illusion, it's better to have less love stories like last time, and more meaningful knowledge-learning stories, right?" Of course. Kunlun Mirror handled it skillfully. "Hey, you were just perfunctory to me." Long suddenly became a little alert. "In fact, you can't decide the type of script, right?" Ha. Kunlun Mirror smiled perfunctorily. "It's hard to say, I still need to study it." Long. Arjun, when did you become so smart? Who led my Arjun astray?" He thought with great sorrow, but nodded on the surface. "Okay, then I'll leave it to you, Arjun. You'll definitely not let me down, right?" A few days later, Long led everyone to explore many secret realms. Unfortunately, they were not as lucky as on the first day to find the information left by the ancient Chuan clan. The illusion began to become very boring. It was all reenactments of historical issues, which made Long lose his energy to act. Finally, the ancestors came out of the mountain and gathered the younger generations wandering outside. Long carefully counted the surroundings and found that the leopard demon Barya slave was not in the crowd. Long didn't believe that this guy was dead. He probably used some disguise magic to hide in the crowd. "Ajin, scan." Kunlun Mirror scanned over and said, "No. Really? Could it be that the guy was dead?" Long began to think. Good death. I love warriors, and I can't stand this kind of bad guys who kidnap people. Everyone rode on the handkerchief magic weapon and flew higher and higher in the sky. Finally, they passed through the cracks in the cliff and landed on Shenlong Island again. Back to the side hall, the old ancestor Kanglong turned around and asked, "Did you gain anything this time?" "Yes." Long respectfully presented the jade slip. "Very good." The Kanglong patriarch took the jade slip, read it carefully with his spiritual sense for a moment, and then handed it to the Chuan immortal. The old turtle also read it slowly before turning it to the Kanglong patriarch. "What reward do you want this time?" The Kanglong patriarch said with satisfaction, "Choose it yourself." He took out 4 things, put them on the stone table, and let the 4 people choose. As for Gilinga, Chuan immortal was responsible for her reward, so she followed the old turtle and left first. Everyone looked at the table and saw 4 objects, namely the flying sword, the elixir bottle, the magic weapon and the scroll. The flying sword was bright white, with the outline of a broadsword, and the edge was not sharp. The elixir bottle was made of white porcelain, with a wooden stopper on it, and no one knew what was inside. The magic weapon was a pair of wind chimes with golden auspicious clouds on it. The scroll was made of paper and tied with a red rope. Since the Kanglong patriarch said on the surface that he wanted everyone to choose, but the objects he took out were the same for everyone, it means that he had actually prepared the most suitable rewards for everyone. It depends on whether everyone knows themselves. Thinking of this, he began to think. I have the dragon or immortal sword, and Long Hu has the fox or immortal sword. We don't know how to control the sword with 2 hands, so we don't need a second sword. Qin Zhao's sword control is better than Qin Yi's, so this sword should be prepared for Qin Zhao. The pill bottle is likely to contain high-level elixirs such as blood purification. Qin Yi has the lowest cultivation among the 4, so the elixir is prepared for her. As for me and Long Hu, who has worse combat power and needs this wind chime magic weapon more? Long smiled slightly, then reached out to take the scroll, and handed the wind chime to Long Hu. Looking at the old ancestor Kanglong, the other party's face really showed appreciation. Opening the scroll, I saw a large piece of text written on it, but it was a variety of bloodliner spells passed down by the Dragon Clan. The name is Dragon Puppet Prisoner Soul Avoiding Death Secret Scroll. On the other side, Gilinga also received a reward from the Chuan Immortal, and only heard the old turtle ask faintly, "How is it? What's the matter?" Gilinga asked in confusion. "Qin Zhao." The old turtle said, "What about this person?" Gilinga thought for a moment and said seriously, "He is a cowardly and indecisive person, a dot that keeps things to itself." "What about Qin Yi?" "He is a golden needle and a jade doll, at the mercy of others." "What about the dragon fox?" Chuan Immortal asked again. "He is trapped in the boudoir, a bird in a cage." Gilinga said disdainfully. Long. This time Gilinga thought about it carefully for a long time. "If the marriage partner is him, I have no objection." Chuan Immortal listened quietly and smiled slightly. "It's a pity that he doesn't like you." "I'm afraid not." Gilinga shook her head and said, "With his bloodline and rank, it is bound to be difficult for him to decide on his own marriage. Who he will marry in the future depends on the diplomatic inclinations of the Dragon Clan. I just don't know if our Black Turtle Clan still cares about the friendship of our ancestors." Chapter 488 I Can Beat You to Death. Long Yu, Qin Zhao, and Qin Yi were taken back to Shenlong Island by the Kanglong Patriarch. The clan leader Qin Biaoan did not say anything about Long's private escape to survive the transformation tribulation. Rather, since the transformation tribulation is so important, there are many little dragons in the Kanglong clan, and it is common for them to secretly escape the tribulation. Therefore, the clan leader just muttered in his heart, "This child still doesn't trust the clan," and asked them to go back and rest early. In the name of continuing to practice in seclusion, Long was sent to the underwater palace again. The reason for the isolation this time is much simpler. Her relationship with Long is too good, and she needs to cool down to buy more time for Qin Yi to brush his favor. Otherwise, after Long gets married in the future, if he favors Fox like King Zhao and neglects Qin Yi, then where will the Kanglong clan, as Qin Yi's mother clan, put his face? Unfortunately, although the clan created opportunities for Qin Yi, this little female dragon was really disappointing. She would be shy to be with Long in private, and had to let her brother accompany her. Long was also helpless about this. "If you always let your brother stay by our side, then we can't, understand? If you don't understand, we have nothing to say." Without further ado, Long originally thought that after returning to the clan, the Kanglong clan would arrange some work for him, a newly promoted transformed monk, like the human sect. After confirming it several times, he realized that the only task assigned to him by the clan was to become stronger. Since the Dragon Clan only divides and belongs to the bloodliner, even demons with lower bloodliner levels can enter smoothly as long as they are from the Dragon Clan. Therefore, the number of people in the Kanglong clan is much greater than that of the Kunlun Tai King sect, and there is naturally no shortage of clan members willing to do mundane affairs. Long, you should concentrate on practicing. This is also good. Who doesn't like to slack off? Long confirmed that the tribe's attention to him had cooled down, so he said calmly, "A Jin, teleport." Teleported back to the Shenlong Island secret realm, only to see that the sky in the secret realm was grey at this time, which was completely different from the sunny and windy when it was opened before. According to the map marked on the jade slip, Long Long had no obstacles along the way and soon arrived at the corresponding ruins. This place is also a house built with large pieces of grey stone. The porch and the room are connected, and the site is clear. Long Long checked every room, not to mention the entrance to the tunnel. Even the common tables, chairs, beds and cabinets were not found, empty. As usual, he could only use his strongest means. A jinn scan. At the end of this corridor. Cumlin Mirror replied, the back is hollow. Long Long walked along the corridor to the end and knocked a few times with his hand. The echo showed that it was solid, and there was nothing around that looked like a switch. But, so what? Long Long clasped his palms together, and as his true essence surged, the acquired 5 elements Great Extinction Divine Light poured out from his clasped palms. It shone into the stone wall, and the stone wall immediately melted and collapsed like mud, revealing the hole inside. Long Long stepped into the tunnel carefully, and activated the universal clear sound small light technique at his fingertips to illuminate the road ahead. The construction of this tunnel was really simple. Not to mention the internal lighting, even the cave walls and floors were uneven. After walking for about an hour, Long Long finally arrived at the end of the cave, which was also blocked by a wall made of grey stone. He once again emitted the 5 elements divine light, irradiating and melting the wall, and then passed through the open wall, and he entered a place that seemed to be an underground palace. A jinn, I'm counting on you this time. Long Long said calmly, these are things that only immortals can deal with. I can't handle them. Of course. Cumlin Mirror is very reliable, leave it to me. There is a trap under the floor ahead, be careful to avoid the middle row. There is a mechanism behind the wall ahead, you need to crawl on the ground to move forward, lower than the waist height of an ordinary person. There is an enemy ahead, 12 feet away, approach from the right corridor, be careful to avoid it. With the mirror radar, Long Long's subsequent exploration was simply too smooth, as if he had turned on a plug-in for full map perspective, perfectly avoiding any mechanism and enemy. This jinn, when it comes to seeking benefits for himself, he works especially hard. After despising the integrity of Cumlin Mirror in his heart, and sighing for a while, he didn't know who had corrupted it, and Long Long continued to move forward silently. As he gradually went deeper into the underground palace, Long Long found that the frequency of encountering enemies and mechanisms around him was getting higher and higher. Obviously, the outside was often visited by the ancestors of the demon clan, so a large part of the mechanisms and enemies were also cleared, and the deeper he went, the closer he was to the original appearance of the underground palace. But Long Long felt a little puzzled. Since the ruins were formed naturally, why were there mechanisms that were obviously man-made? Because of my body fragments. Cumlin Mirror replied, these mechanisms you see are all traps and mechanisms that it has reproduced from the historical timeline and from various periods. I see. Long Long said thoughtfully, a jinn, I suddenly discovered that every fragment of your body seems to like staying in the palace very much, and is accustomed to setting up heavy protections around them. The area of Showan Shogun is the illusion of time reversal. The area of Dongji Palace under the Wukikeyuan Cave is the illusion of a space maze. The area of Jinnu Palace in southern Xinjiang is the illusion of mirror monsters. And now in the underground palace of Shenlong Island, there is a maze of traps and mechanisms. If you like palaces because you have lived in the palace of Showanmu since you were born, then you were accustomed to setting up heavy protections. Is there a possibility that it is because you were extremely insecure in your heart? Cumlin Mirror. In the past, it would definitely subconsciously say isn't this natural? However, because he had a full understanding of the character of this savior, Cumlin Jim knew that what he said about lack of security was definitely not just a casual chat. There was an 80% probability that as long as he agreed, he would make a shameless and frivolous teasing remark that would embarrass him. Therefore, Cumlin Jim just smiled and said, Yuanshui, are you feeling sorry for me? Long Long was obviously stunned for a moment. Why didn't this broken mirror play by the rules? Cumlin Jim said again, I'm really touched that you have this intention. But you don't have to comfort me. As long as you can find all the fragments for me quickly, I will be very happy. The muscles on Long Long's face twitched slightly. Broken Mirror had said this to this extent. Of course, he couldn't say I don't feel sorry for you, otherwise he would just say, oh, since you don't want to help me find the fragments, then you can find a way to go on the next road by yourself, and Long Long would go crazy. Therefore, he could only change the subject and asked, Jin, if you gather all the fragments of your body, what powerful abilities will you gain? I can kill you. I mean, Cumlin Jim changed the topic and said, I can come out of your sea of consciousness and help you deal with the enemy. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Mundo Fanfic Novelers, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelers. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 489. Get the fragment, only one left. Arriving deep in the underground palace, Long stepped into the main hall of the underground palace. In the main hall, on a high platform, familiar mirror fragments were slowly rotating. Long quickly moved his sight away, retreated to the corner, and asked, "How to do it?" The mirror smiled faintly. "Leave it to me." In front of Long, the outline of Kyo Chain Tian was quickly outlined. No, it was not Kyo Chain Tian, but the invincible character template. Although Kyo Chain Tian looked similar to himself, his eyes were dull and lifeless, and he just rushed to the center of the main hall numbly. Then, a twisted vortex appeared out of thin air and swallowed Kyo Chain Tian's figure. "Did you see it?" The mirror sneered. "The trap of time and space turbulence, it exiled the phantom to a certain point in the future." "You still have this ability?" Long asked in surprise. "Otherwise, where did you get the ability to read past time points?" The mirror asked back. "I thought you could only read to the past." Long replied. "Generally speaking, yes." The mirror explained casually, "Because if you read the game to the future, it will cause a gap in your timeline, which may trigger some kind of extremely bad chain reaction for you. Of course, it doesn't matter to me." It quickly pinched out another phantom, this time it was the image of Lin Yunpo, and rushed towards the mirror fragments on the platform. Then it was swallowed up again. Long keenly noticed that the vortex of distorted light came out slower than before. "Are you trying to consume its spiritual power?" he asked curiously. "No." The mirror replied, "To be precise, those are all my spiritual power. Things like time and space turbulence are very troublesome, so I would rather consume its spiritual power. But it doesn't seem to have much spiritual power left. It seems that the ancestors of the demon clan have explored this underground palace many times." It summoned Luo Yan for the third time and continued to rush forward. This time, Luo Yan was about to touch the platform before he was sucked away by the vortex that appeared later. Almost. Seeing that the mirror fragment suddenly dimmed, Long immediately judged and said, "The mirror's spiritual power has been exhausted." The mirror did not comment, but summoned the fourth phantom again. Wei Dongliu strode forward, came to the edge of the high platform, and picked up the mirror fragment. Then, the phantom suddenly sank into the ground, but was eaten by the vortex that suddenly appeared below. "Good guy." Long, who was hiding behind, said in surprise, pretending to run out of spiritual power, "Right. This fragment is so despicable, worthy of you." The mirror was secretly angry, and smiled. "It thinks it has been despicable to the point of being invincible, but in fact, it is all within my calculations. Ha, if you don't believe it, just wait and see." After that, the mirror gave birth to another phantom and rushed over. Then another, and another, until the mirror fragment finally ran out of spiritual power and was brought back by the phantom stiffly and mechanically. Watching the fragment sink into his sea of consciousness, Long asked curiously, "In this way, there is only one last piece left. By the way, how does it feel to find your own fragments?" "It's probably the same feeling as when you bullied junior sisters you, fooled senior sister Am, and deceived Mishi successfully." "What a strange metaphor, huh?" Long suddenly found that there was no other way out of the main hall of the underground palace, only the entrance he came from. Is this the end of the underground palace? Only on mirror fragments? Of course, otherwise what do you think those ancestors are studying? The mirror replied, "What they're studying is nothing more than the avenue of time and space that my fragments overflowed from." "In other words?" Long frowned and asked, "After we took the fragments, there will be no avenues in this relic?" "Of course." The mirror said calmly, "But that has nothing to do with this." Long thought that it was true, but Arjun, this calm and composed tone, with wisdom in hand, seems to be more and more like me. Maybe it was infected by my personality charm. After teleporting back to the Jianmu tribe, Long ordered, "Let's go to Wei Dongliu." Linjing wanted to say, "Why not go to Ling Yunpo first?" But it quickly held back and said, "Okay." Location 4. Shipping Mounting, Tongchuan Gate. Character Identity. Wei Dongliu. Mirror Flower Water Moon template overwritten, traveling through time and space. Wei Dongliu left the stone house with his hands behind his back, and saw Jianglin demonstrating the tricks of the monks fighting to his two disciples, Yuojin and Banjun, by the pond. Speaking of which, since this witch had a falling out with her master, it seems that she has come to live here openly. When cultivators fight, the key is to surprise the opponent. Jianglin smiled sweetly, threw out a demon head from her sleeve, and transformed it into her own appearance. If your trump card is known to others, the opponent can target your style of play, and your chance of winning will be halved. For example, I use this demon head to disguise myself, and the opponent doesn't know. When he kills the demon head, I can attack from the side. Wei Dongliu nodded secretly. Yes, this demon girl Jing has 30% of my combat experience. Master. Yuojin noticed the master approaching and turned around to salute. Wei is here. Jianglin also stood up and said with a smile, I have a message for you. The 6 Paths Dharma assembly is about to begin, and countless people at the same path will attend. There will be a trading session after the Dharma assembly. If you have anything you want to obtain, you can exchange what you have at the trade fair. Seeing that Wei Dongliu's expression did not change, she threw out another piece of heavy news. In previous Dharma assembly, there were often Jimdan cultivators who got the Purple Mansion secret medicine and sold it at the trade fair. Wei Dongliu showed an unfathomable expression. Purple Mansion secret medicine, is this thing useful to me now? Being stared at by him, Jiangmonu immediately felt guilty and said honestly, well, the Purple Mansion secret medicine is basically at the auction, and it is often snapped up as soon as it comes out. However, there are still some other rare secret medicines, such as the Lingzhou Mountain sect of the Fanshindo, which produces a secret medicine called Ganlanzhila. It is said that one drop can shorten the key refining period by 10 years. Wei Dongliu nodded when he heard this. In this case, it is worth it for brother Jiangdo to make this trip for my apprentice. Jiangmonu. Wait, when a normal person hears that there is a secret medicine suitable for his apprentice in the market, shouldn't the first reaction be to go there in person? If the master is worried, let me supervise her to buy the medicine. Fishan Yaksha said flatteringly. Seeing that Wei Dongliu did not comment, Jianglin's mind turned quickly. Of course, she hoped that Wei Dongliu could accompany her to the trading market, otherwise what if she went alone and met her master and was beaten to death? Without Wei Dongliu's instructions, the dog-footed Yaksha would definitely stand by and watch. Anyway, it just needs to take the elixir back. No, we have to think of another way. He doesn't care about the Purple Mansion secret medicine, it must be because he is not a foundation-building cultivator at all. So, what is Wei Lazi interested in? Oh. Hell Road will definitely send people to participate in this Dharma assembly. Jiangmo Envy suddenly said. Wei Dongliu was immediately refreshed. He got a rib from the demon Buddha last time, and it is said that he can use it to contact Hell Road. Could it be that the opportunity is in that Dharma assembly? Thinking about it this way, he has to go. Besides, in the past, he lived in seclusion because on the one hand he needed to maintain a mysterious persona, and on the other hand his strength was really not good. If he met a master, he would risk being exposed. However, now he has formed a first-grade golden elixir, and his cultivation realm is even stronger than many golden elixir cultivators. After all, union cultivators are a minority in the world of cultivation. Even if he went to the Dharma assembly, how many people have the ability to threaten him? Besides, isn't there Fishan Yaksha? Good. This time, I will take that rib with me and see if I can find any clues about the hell. Thinking of this, Wei Dongliu finally nodded and agreed. Jiangmon was relieved to see this. As long as Wei Laos is willing to bring Fishan Yaksha and accompany her to the rally, the news will definitely reach the master's ears. In this way, I should be able to buy more time for myself. The last time Jiangmon explored the giant tree secret realm with other fellow Taoists of the demon sect, she got almost 30 years of Purple Mansion secret medicine. In addition, she and Wei Dongliu drank the golden juice and jade liquid in the Jing Palace, which is equivalent to 70 years. Under the 9 nether yellow spring, she took the petals of the other short flower with Wei Dongliu, which is 150 years of Wafu cultivation. I have accumulated almost 30 years of cultivation through my daily breathing and refining, and I am still 20 years away from forming a top-grade golden elixir. In order to enhance my self-protection ability as soon as possible, I must get the Purple Mansion secret medicine when I go to the market this time. Chapter 490. Mountain God Temple, Infernal Hell, Mount Watai, Shui Town. Every household in the town stayed indoors, fearing that they would offend the cultivators and bring disaster. The streets were full of demons, monks, Taoists, beggars, madmen, all kinds of evil spirits, walking around arrogantly, and the popularity was much more lively than the last Mount Watai market. On both sides of the street, there were all kinds of monks' stalls. Of course, most of the trading goods were garbage, and with Wei Dongliu's current vision, he didn't even look at one. Jianglin was very excited, holding Wei Dongliu's arm and looking around. Fish and Yaksha followed behind him, wearing a black robe that covered his body, very low-key. The reason why Jiangmonu held his arm was not because Wei Dongliu coveted her beauty, but because he wanted to maintain a mysterious personality. Many things that were inconvenient to say and inconvenient to do could be handed over to the concubines to do, that is, let Jiangmonu disguise as his concubine. Anyway, many people in the demon sect would bring 1 or 2 concubines, so Wei Dongliu's behavior was just like the local customs. Master. Jiangmonu leaned against his chest and said sweetly, the stall of the Lingzhou Mountain sect is next to the well at the end of this street. Where is the 6-path Dharma assembly? Wei Dongliu said that he was not interested in his apprentice's elixir, and you can go and buy it for me later. What I care about is the 6-path Dharma assembly and the clues to the hell. Jiangmonu understood what he meant. She was also helpless about the fact that she was forced to take care of 2 apprentices even though she was not the head of the Tongxuan sect. However, she needed to use the name of Wei Laos to save her life, so she could only let him do whatever he wanted. The Dharma assembly is held in the open space behind the mountain god temple not far away. Jiangmonu whispered, but at least you have to be in the Golden Core Realm to enter. Take me there. Wei Dongliu ordered. Jianglin was slightly startled, and immediately filled in countless possibilities in his mind. Sure enough. This old thief Wei, it really can't be a Foundation establishment cultivator. You finally stopped pretending now, right? So you were actually a Golden Core cultivator? Or a nascent soul cultivator? Could it be that you were actually an immortal cultivator? The 2 walked towards the mountain temple and were suddenly stopped by a stranger on the side of the road. Do you want to have your fortune told? The fortune teller holding a cloth banner said to Wei Dongliu with a smile on his face, and suddenly his expression became stern. Oh, fellow Taoist, I see a faint black hair entangled in your forehead. This is a sign of blood. Mr. Jian, what are you doing again? Which Jian whispered to Wei Dongliu. Although this Mr. Jian was born in the Jian family of King Zhao, his fortune-telling skills are really not very good. It is said that even most of the members of the Jian family of King Zhao were ashamed to acknowledge his existence, thinking that he is always swindling people outside. What do you mean by poor skills? What do you mean by swindling people? Nonsense. The fortune teller with a 3-inch long beard said dissatisfiedly, I'm just used to saying things that people like to hear. If they misunderstood, does it mean that the results of my fortune telling are wrong? Then you should calculate the right one. Which Jiang sneered, if you have the ability, do you dare to calculate on the spot how my future marriage will be? Why not? The fortune teller raised his right hand, snapped his knuckles a few times, and suddenly said, fellow Taoist Jiang, you'll have a death calamity in the future. Nonsense. Jianglin snorted unhappily, who among the disciples of the fairy Kaimoth doesn't have a death calamity? Stop talking nonsense, and talk about your marriage. Marriage. The fortune teller deliberately prolonged his voice, are you sure you want to calculate this? Fellow Taoist Wei, don't talk too much with this useless old Taoist, which Jiang pretended to pull Wei Dongliu away, and the fortune teller hurriedly said, okay, I calculated it. He pointed at Jianglin and said, I said you will have a death calamity for a reason. Your death calamity and your marriage complement each other. Once your marriage comes, your death calamity will not be far away. But for your marriage to be successful, you have to go through the death calamity. That makes sense. Which Jiang clapped her hands and laughed, if my marriage doesn't work out, you can say it's because I haven't overcome my death calamity. If my death calamity doesn't come, you can say it's because my marriage hasn't come. Your statement is really impeccable. You're just talking nonsense, right? That's what I said. The fortune teller was furious, if I say something nice, you will misunderstand. If I say something bad, you won't believe it. He leaned the bamboo pole of the cloth banner on the ground a few times, then turned around and left angrily. Doorway, let's go. Jianglin said with a smile. Flying Night Demon. Wei Dongliu thought for a moment, and suddenly said, you accompanied Oi Jiang to buy the sweet rain true dew first. Yes, master. Fish and Night Demon immediately agreed. Jianglin half opened her mouth, wanting to say something but stopping. How could she not guess that Wei Dongliu was going to find that fortune teller? Wei Dongliu didn't care what she thought, he just quickly caught up with the fortune teller and said, "Mr. Jian, can you tell me something?" "No problem." The fortune teller immediately turned around and said with a smile, "What do you want to tell me?" "My destiny," Wei Dongliu said in a deep voice. "Destiny?" Mr. Jian pondered for a moment and said, "Before I tell you, I have to confirm it with you first. Do you believe in destiny?" Wei Dongliu frowned, and his heart moved. "I believe it, but I don't dare to believe it." "What does this mean?" Mr. Jian asked in surprise. "If you believe in destiny, you will let it control you," Wei Dongliu said seriously. Mr. Jian thought for a moment, nodded and said, "That makes sense." After thinking for a while, he pointed to the mountain temple in the distance and asked, "Have you ever been there?" "Mr. Jian, are you talking about the Six Paths Dharma Assembly?" Wei Dongliu asked in surprise. No. Old Master Jian shook his head. "The Six Paths Dharma Assembly is in the open space behind that temple. I mean the mountain god temple. Are there any masters in the temple?" Old Master Jian did not answer, but just walked away with a cloth banner, stroking his beard and smiling. People only think that immortals are good, but they don't know that fate is hard to escape. "Doya, take care of yourself." He ran away directly. Wei Dongliu was silent for a moment, then turned and strode towards the mountain god temple. When he pushed the door and entered the mountain god temple, he saw that there was no one inside. In the corner of the temple, there were a few scattered beddings, and it was obvious that homeless people had stayed there temporarily. It was just that there was a Six Paths Dharma assembly behind that temple, so how could these people stay in the temple? So they were driven out early. Wei Dongliu wandered around for a long time, but he didn't find any clues. There was no way, so he could only use his wisdom. A Jin, scan. There is a spatial fluctuation on the back of the mountain god statue. Kunlun Mirror reminded. Wei Dongliu used his Taoist magic to turn the mountain god statue. The broken part of the gold powder lacquer on the back of the statue formed a line of large characters. Avakai Wu Jian. "Then what?" Wei Dongliu asked again. "Didn't you find it?" Kunlun Mirror said in surprise, "You have been teleported." Wei Dongliu frowned and turned his eyes. He saw that the surroundings were still the shabby environment of the mountain god temple, nothing unusual. He turned and walked out of the temple. When he opened the door, he saw that it was not the bustling market of Chui town outside, but in an underground cave. Chapter 491. Heart of Steel, calm and unperturbed. Newcomer? Not sure yet. That test again? That's not a test, it's adaptation. Wei Dongliu, I've heard of this person. It's very strange, there is no background at all, as if he suddenly appeared. Oh. You don't really plan to let him join? Let me say, this guy might also be a spy. That's even better. As long as he can hold on, our hell, we need such professionals. Wei Dongliu stood in the middle of the dark cave, silent for a long time, and asked again. A Jin, is there really no exit? No. Kunlun Mirror replied, from a spatial perspective, this is an independent secret realm with no entrance or exit. The only way is to teleport. Teleport. Wei Dongliu pondered. A Jin, you say? What exactly are they planning to teleport me here? They should be testing you. Kunlun Mirror replied, they are using magic to spy on you. Then I can't leave. Wei Dongliu said thoughtfully, if I teleport now, I'm afraid I will have no chance to go to hell. He simply sat down cross-legged and breathed calmly. The flow of time here is not right. Kunlun Mirror suddenly said, the flow has slowed down. In your senses, the waiting time will be extended. They must have done this on purpose, wanting to torture you with long-term confinement and loneliness to see what kind of character you have. It's okay. Wei Dongliu said calmly, as the savior, my heart has long been as hard as a rock. Even if I stay here for 100 years, accompanied by darkness and silence, my face will not be moved for a moment. After another hour, Wei Dongliu suddenly said, Jin, read the save file Qiu Chain Tian, I want to see how Sisters Yu is doing. Oh. Kunlun Mirror was very tactful and did not ask him you unable to bear it. And said, Point 1. Kunlun Tai King Sect, Jin Line. Character Identity. Qiu Chain Tian. Mirror Flower Water Moon template is overridden, and is traveling through time and space. After returning to Kunlun Snow Ridge, looking at the white snow and towering peaks in the distance, Qiu Chain Tian suddenly felt relaxed and happy, and his whole person became cheerful. What a bullshit hell. If you lock someone in a secret room for 2 hours, normal people will have claustrophobia. Now Qiu Changtian has to do two things. First, he is to report his promotion to the Golden Core to the Ziwili sect master. In this way, Qiu Changtian will be the first to form a Golden Core, and Lin Yunpo and Luoyan will delay forming another Golden Core for a few months, so that they can fool around. Second, he is to resign from the position of the chief of the Foundation building realm and let junior sisters Yu take over. In this way, Zhu Yingyuan can go to the Tianmen Hall to realize the truth and obtain the 70 years of cultivation in the palace. If junior sisters Yu cannot form a second-grade Golden Core, she will not be qualified to succeed the Kunlun Sect Master, and Qiu Changtian's betrayal in the future will cause too much harm to the Ziwili Sect Master. Alas, I hope Master can understand my painstaking efforts. Thinking this way, Qiu Changtian turned around and went back to the Jinlan cave. Zhu Yingyuan was breathing and refining qi, and Qiu Changtian was not impatient, just sitting patiently waiting. After an unknown amount of time, Zhu Yingyuan finally exhaled a long breath of white air and opened her eyes. "Brother?" she asked in surprise, "What's wrong? Can't I just look at your face if nothing happens?" Qiu Changtian complained in his heart, and smiled and said, "Junior sister, I have formed a pill." Zhu Yingyuan. She was stunned for a while, and seemed to have no reaction at all. Then, there was a long silence. "I'm going to report to the headmaster." Qiu Changtian ignored her silence and continued to smile. "Junior sister, will you accompany me?" He took the junior sister's hand, and Zhu Yingyuan seemed to have lost the ability to speak, just letting Qiu Changtian pull her into the sword light and fly towards the Yuxu Palace of Kunlun Tianzhu. Landing in front of the Yuxu Palace, Zhu Yingyuan finally reacted and asked in a deep voice, What grade of golden elixir? If I say it's the second grade, will you believe it, junior sister?" Qiu Changtian asked with a smile. "No." Zhu Yingyuan said straightforwardly, "Yangxia Human Pill and Jiazhuan Pill are the secret medicines of the Purple Palace that my senior brother and I took together. They have already cultivated the Transformation Palace for 300 years. Senior brother's lifespan is far from over. Since he chose to form the elixir at this time, it must be because there is no more room for improvement. Sure enough, junior sister, I can't hide it from you," Qiu Changtian said with a smile. Zhu Yingyuan lowered her head, and for a moment she felt a kind of smug joy of "I am senior brother's soulmate," but it was soon replaced by endless loss. Senior brother has already formed the elixir, and I am still here to cultivate the Transformation Palace. Is the gap between people so big? Alas, Yingyuan, didn't you know how powerful senior brother is a long time ago? Why can't you accept it? Because it's not my character to give in so easily. Zhu Yingyuan raised her head again, her eyes already burning with fighting spirit. From Jinlan Cave to Yuxu Palace, she had thought things through. She would not give up chasing Qiu Changtian, but she would not overestimate her own abilities. The possibility of a first-grade golden elixir was not great, but if she could quickly accumulate to 400 years, she would also make a second-grade golden elixir and follow her senior brother into the ranks of golden elixir masters. When they arrived at the lecture room, they saw the head of Ziwili sitting on the 9-colored lotus platform, with a whisk hanging idly and eyes closed to rest. Qiu Changtian took out the Taoist robe and hair crown of the chief of the Foundation building realm and placed them respectfully on the cushion. To be honest, these two clothing magic weapons are very powerful, but they can't stop me from killing the weak and dodging the strong. The number of times I have used these two treasures is few and far between. It seems that I only saved the seriously injured and dying sisters Yu once in the Jiao sword formation. Well, this time is enough. Ziwili sect leader slowly opened his eyes, looked at the chief's uniform on the ground, and then turned to look at Qiu Changtian. Then, his sight seemed to freeze suddenly. 1 minute, 2 minutes, Ziwili sect leader suddenly spoke, his voice a little hurried. "What grade of golden elixir did you form?" "Oh guy, why do you always ask me what grade of golden elixir I have when we meet? Didn't anyone ask me if my origin was damaged by the heavenly tribulation? Didn't anyone care whether I was seriously injured or how I survived the tribulation?" Reply to master. Qiu Changtian said slowly, as if he was just reporting a trivial matter, "It's a first-grade golden elixir." In an instant, Ziwili sect leader quickly jumped up from the 9-colored lotus platform with a kind of agility that was not suitable for his status, and landed on the ground in the blink of an eye. With the sleeves of his robe waving, he quickly walked towards the outside of the lecture room. "Where is master going?" Qiu Changtian was a little confused. "Convene a sect meeting," Ziwili sect leader said loudly. Chapter 492. Cumlin's future is in the hands of my junior sister. 202308001 Author. YouTube Chapter 492. The future of Cumlin will be handed over to me, my junior sister. In the main hall, all the elders of Cumlin have gathered. The last time everyone gathered here was not long ago, when sect leader Ziwi announced the matter of the Bayesian competition. Of course, most of the elders of Cumlin already knew about it in advance, and the gathering was just to go through the process. However, this time, the elders were really caught off guard, because sect leader Ziwi had not revealed any news before. Then again, it has only been a few days since the Bayesian competition ended. What urgent matter could have called everyone here? Could it be that the subsequent golden secret realm was discovered? Thinking of this, the elders of Cumlin stood up straight, waiting for sect leader Ziwi to announce the answer. The headmaster Ziwi was very calm and composed. After the elders who were always late also arrived at Yuxu Palace and entered the main hall, he slowly said, "The reason for calling everyone together this time is because Qiu Changtime is going to resign from the position of the chief at the Foundation Building Realm. Who do you think is the best successor?" The elders looked at each other. According to the rules of Cumlin Tai King sect, the chief at the Foundation Building Realm is to be selected from the most powerful disciples in the Foundation Building Realm. Therefore, in theory, this position is not exclusive to the disciples of the headmaster's lineage, and the Foundation Building disciples of other elders can also compete. The headmaster Ziwi came to ask everyone this time, which was reasonable. However, Cumlin Tai King sect is different from Shushan and Penglai. The headmaster's lineage has the immortal key refining technique 9 Heavens Kingway Realm mantra, which leads to the elite disciples of each generation liking to gather under the headmaster. Over time, the chief at the Foundation Building Realm is always from the headmaster's disciples, which has become an unspoken rule. So, Master, are you here to ask us this time to make fun of us? Some elders were impatient and asked directly, "Master, why are you asking us? Since Qiu Changtime has stepped down, why not let Zhu Yingyan take over? I still have a furnace of elixirs in my cave." This statement was so loud that everyone nodded, and then realized that something was wrong. What, Qiu Changtime is not going to be the chief at the Foundation Building Realm? He is a man of great heroism, and he has won glory for the sect in the Bayesian competition before, and directly defeated all the strong to win the first place in the world, actually the first place in the righteous way, but Cumlin claimed to be the first place in the world, but the position of chief was dismissed right after that. What are you crazy about, Master? You have been possessed by the devil from outer space, right? There was an awkward silence in the main hall. No one spoke, everyone looked at each other, signaling each other to go and see if the master had gone astray. Anyway, they would definitely not rush to the front. Seeing that no one understood, the head of Ziwi's sect frowned slightly, and looked at the elders of his faction and signaled with his eyes. So the elders immediately came out to make fun of him, seemingly puzzled. "Head, Qiu Changtime has done nothing wrong, why did he resign as the chief at the Foundation Building Realm? You don't know." The head of Ziwi's sect said indifferently, "My disciple has already formed a golden elixir. According to the rules of our sect, he can no longer serve as the chief at the Foundation Building Realm." Huh. The crowd suddenly gasped. Qiu Changtime stood behind the head of Ziwi's sect respectfully, and saw the elders inhaling with their teeth bared, and he couldn't help but feel a little speechless. "Wait, everyone, I haven't said that I formed a first-grade golden elixir. Why are you starting to say this kid is so terrible now? It's too early, too early." The head of Ziwi's sect also frowned slightly, a little dissatisfied with the reaction of the Cumlin elders. "We are the Cumlin Tai King sect. Qiu Changtime is the direct disciple of this master. It's just that he formed the elixir in advance within 100 years. What's wrong? Is it worth making such a fuss? Shame." He signaled to the elders again, so the elders asked again, "Why did the elixir form so quickly? If we remember correctly, Qiu Changtime has not lived half of his life yet. What grade of golden elixir is this?" "To be honest with you," Master Ziwi said calmly, "my disciple has accumulated enough Wafu cultivation in advance and reached the threshold of the first-grade golden elixir. Therefore, it is a waste of time to practice further, so he formed the golden elixir in advance." Everyone. Master Ziwi said this outrageous statement in a calm tone, as if my disciple made a pot of tea. However, that was a first-grade golden elixir. How many rare Xifu secret medicines are needed to accumulate the Wafu cultivation of more than 800 years? The last first-grade condensation calamity must be so difficult that the sky and the earth must have collapsed. How did you get through it? It's not that we don't believe you, but this level of Dan condensation tribulation should be enough to make the sun and the moon dim. Why has there been no movement around the Cumlin Mountains recently? Of course, everyone present is not stupid, and they know that the head of Ziwi's sect is definitely not lying. What is the grade of Kyo Chang Time's golden elixir? If everyone just holds his wrist and uses his consciousness to probe into the Jade Palace along the meridians, won't they know? Even if they don't do this, just watching him fight with others later, the abundance and vigor of his true essence can also be seen. It is impossible for the head of Ziwi's sect to tell such a lie that cannot be maintained. In other words, is that first-grade golden elixir real? Is Kyo Chang Time's golden elixir really a first-grade golden elixir? Before everyone could recover from their shock, the elders of the head of the sect asked in unison. Of course. Ziwi's sect master said indifferently, how can this be faked? First-grade golden elixir is rare in the world. Having said this, the elders of Cumlin didn't understand, and immediately began to sing praises. My Cumlin Tai King sect has Kyo Chang Tian, which is really a blessing from the fortune and the righteous path. You are worthy at being the sect master. Only Ziwi's sect master can teach a genius like Kyo Chang Tian. With Kyo Chang Tian, why worry about the future of my Cumlin Tai King sect? Although everyone was deliberately speaking nice words, their mood was not fake. When they looked at Kyo Chang Tian, their eyes were full of admiration, and the pride in their tone was from the heart. After all, it was a first-grade golden elixir. The starting point of the golden elixir was so perfect, so the nascent soul must not form an immortal baby. After the immortality, must he have an immortal body, a Hunyuan Daluo Jinxiam? Don't say it, I dare not even think about it. Under the compliments of the elders of Cunning, the headmaster Ziwi was still holding on to his ways as a Taoist master, but soon he smiled faintly. It was not because he was not good at cultivating his ki, but because he was so happy that he could not help himself. Chang Tian. The headmaster Ziwi said slowly, in a very gentle tone, since you have formed the golden elixir, you are the Cumlin immortal from today. The master will give you the Taoist name, Chang'an. The cultivation of Taoism is long and you must not slack off. You must work hard and make progress bravely. Kyo Chang Tian nodded and sighed in his heart. The Taoist names in this world are similar to the words of ancient literati, containing the earnest teachings of the predecessors to the younger generation. For example, the Taoist name of the headmaster Ziwi alludes to the Emperor Star Ziwi, meaning that he hopes he can lead Cumlin to the peak and become the leader of the world's sects. And the headmaster Ziwi did it. As for Chang'an, it refers to Venus that appears in the evening. Venus appears in the morning and is called Kaiming. It appears in the evening and is called Chang'an. This Taoist name Chang'an means the current Cumlin. Under the leadership of the master, it has become very powerful. In the future, you must lead Cumlin to continue to be powerful. In addition, according to the Taoist astrology, Chang'an's appearance means that there will be war. This also fits the current environment where the struggle between good and evil is intensifying and the chaos is beginning to emerge. The head of Ziwi hopes that Kyo Chang Tian can become the most dazzling star in the world of great struggle and prevent Cumlin from falling into the dusk. Kyo Chang Tian has completely understood his good intentions. Just leave it to Sister Zhu. Chapter 493 Meeting the Immortal, Bright Future. After giving Kyo Chang Tian a Taoist name, the Ziwi sect master immediately announced, Cumlin Tai King sect is about to hold a ceremony to worship the ancestors. Although it is claimed to be a ceremony to worship the ancestors, everyone knows what the actual purpose is. It is not enough to show off within Cumlin, but also to show off to the entire cultivation world. Of course, the elders naturally have no reason to object to such a thing that makes the sect famous, and even privately quickly send messages to old friends and old acquaintances to inform them of the whole story in advance. How Cumlin's Taoist heart is a genius. Kyo Chang Tian actually formed a first-grade golden elixir, come and see. So the news spread among various caves and many powerful people, and gradually it had the momentum of a sensation in the world. After Kyo Chang Tian formed the elixir, he naturally stepped down from the position of the chief of the foundation building realm, and the Ziwi sect master appointed Zhu Yinglyan to take over. This result was also expected by everyone. In fact, Zhu Yinglyan's current level of cultivation and combat strength have far exceeded every generation of chiefs in the history of Cumlin. Even her great-grandfather, the last Grand Chief Zhu Changqing, was inferior to her at this age. If there was no Kyo Chang Tian, then Zhu Yinglyan would be the well-deserved number one person under the Golden Quorum Cumlin, and the most admired disciple of the Ziwi sect master. Unfortunately, there is no if, she is destined to be overshadowed by Kyo Chang Tian's brilliance. The change of the position of the Grand Chief in the Foundation establishment realm did not cause any waves. After the sect meeting, Qiu Changtai and Zhu Yingyuan were brought to the Tianmen Hall by the Ziwei sect master to meet the Qicun Immortal. The Qicun Immortal, the sect elder of Kunlun Tai King sect, is an old man who likes to play chess very much. After listening to the Ziwei sect master's explanation of the whole story, he looked at Qiu Changtai with some surprise, even trance. First grade golden elixir. Qicun Immortal said with regret, if you are born in the era of the sect, you would definitely be taught by the heavenly venerable. What a pity. Ziwei sect master was a little embarrassed, because Qicun Immortal's words implied that Qiu Changtai deserves a better master. However, no matter how conceited and arrogant he was, he did not dare to compete with the heavenly venerable who founded the sect, so he just nodded silently. Now that Changzhen has become a real person, what are you going to do? Qicun Immortal came back to his senses and asked. I haven't asked for his opinion yet. Ziwei sect master said respectfully. He turned around and said to Qiu Changtai, after becoming a Jintan's Hinran, your identity will change. Let me tell you in detail. The Jintan realm is different from the Foundation building realm. A cultivator in the Foundation building realm, no matter how powerful, is just a disciple. Since you were a disciple, you were a junior in the sect. Your main task is to practice Taoism. You don't need to bear the many responsibilities and obligations of the sect, and of course you won't have a very high status. But after you have formed a golden elixir, become as Hinran, and get a Taoist name, you will be a formal cultivator of the sect from then on, with an independent and complete identity and status. For example, if you leave Kunlun as Hinran, you can go to the outside world to create your own Taoist school. Except for a few Kunlun unique secret techniques protected by the sect, the rest can be passed on. As the Taoist legacy of your own sect, the sect will also recognize it. Disciple has no such idea. Qiu Changtai said hurriedly. That's fine. Immortal Qicun stroked his beard and said, our Kunlun is not a den of dragons and tigers. There is no principle of allowing entry but not exit. It's just that for most Jintans Hinran, leaving Kunlun to establish a sect outside has no practical benefits. Those who really run away are often Jintans Hinran whose lifespans are about to end and who have no hope of breaking through. So your master just said it casually and didn't mean to warn you. Said Master Ziwei nodded slightly and continued. If you don't plan to leave Kunlun, you have to fulfill your obligations in the sect. There are 6 halls in Kunlun Yuxu Palace, namely discipline, patrol, inspection, record and keeping the books and greeting guests. Among them, the disciplinary department is responsible for criminal law and restrains the monks in the sect. The patrol protects the reputation of the sect and fights against the demon sect. The inspector transports goods from all directions and provides supplies. The recordant guards the Taoist tradition and organizes the secret scriptures. The Shaobosa registers and documents, and takes care of the affairs of the upper and lower levels. The Ingji is stationed at the majestic mountain gate to entertain fellow monks from all over the world. Which hall do you plan to join next? Qiu Changtai listened carefully and knew that if Kunlun Tai King sect was a country, then the precepts would be the public security, the patrol would be the military, the Zin would be the trade and customs, the Dianchi would be the Ministry of Science and Education, the Shaobo would be the organization department, and the Ink would be the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. If you ask yourself what you want to do, then you should first exclude the Zin Hall and the Ink Hall. These 2 halls are all about trivial matters. Not only are they heavy tasks on weekdays, but they are also relatively difficult to be valued. They belong to the cattle and horse departments. If you want to be more noble, you can choose the Dianchi Hall or the Shaobo Hall. The former is responsible for managing scriptures and documents, and has a lot of time every day, and is very idle. The latter is responsible for the monthly payment of many monks in the sect, and holds real power, so his status is naturally noble. On the contrary, if you can't sit still and want to make a name for yourself, you can also go to the Precepts Hall or the Patrol Hall. The former specializes in attacking fellow disciples, while the latter specializes in attacking outsiders. Their fighting skills can grow quickly, and they are more likely to win the attention of the sect in the future. However, although Qiu Changtai had various ideas in his mind, as a senior spy, he was naturally not stupid enough to really make a choice. He just respectfully replied to the head of Ziwei. The master can assign me, and I dare not refuse. I'm a brick of the sect, and I will move wherever I am needed. I will resolutely obey the organization's deployment. The head of Ziwei sect was a little surprised, but the Immortal Qicun laughed and said, you are such a sly guy. You have formed a first-grade golden elixir at such a young age, but why do you act like a cautious casual cultivator? In that case, let your master arrange it. Upon hearing this, the head of the Wheelie sect smiled and said, "You have been in the limelight recently, and too much is as bad as too little. I plan to arrange you to the Dianchi Hall first, and listen to the instructions of Elder King Ari. What do you think?" Elder King Ari, who was born in the Zhu family of Tianan, is currently in charge of guarding the Sutra Pavilion of Kunlun Tai King sect. Yes, it is the Elder Zhu who taught Qiu Changtime the Thunder method. The head of the Wheelie sect made such an arrangement, which was clearly for him to go there to enjoy the good life. How could Qiu Changtime refuse? He immediately agreed, "It's all up to the master." Zhu Yingyan stood by all the time, silently listening to the conversation between the elder and his senior brother, without saying a word. After knowing that his senior brother was going to follow that old ancestor, he was a little envious for a while. As for why he envied her, it was hard to say, but he was envious anyway. "Yinlian, come here too." After arranging Qiu Changtime's affairs, the head of the Wheelie sect motioned her to go and see the Immortal Cultivation. "Senior." Zhu Yinlian bowed. "Not bad." The Immortal Cultivation looked at her with appreciation. Although she is not as good as Changzhen, she is not far behind. She is more than qualified to be the chief of the Foundation Establishment realm. Zhu Yinlian. Chapter 494. Mirror Sword, Repaying a Favor. Zhu Yinlian, who was originally in a good mood, almost fainted at what Kisun Immortal said. The Wheelie sect leader also wiped his sweat in his heart. Kisun Immortal naturally didn't know how stubborn Zhu Yinlian was. Even if he knew, do you want him, an immortal, to consider the feelings of the Foundation Establishment realm disciples when speaking? Impossible. Ahem, Yinglian's attitude is so good that Changzhen is also under a lot of pressure. The Wheelie sect leader hurriedly tried to smooth things over. Yes. Qiu Changtime also said hurriedly, "Disciple, I have to hurry up to practice, for fear that junior sisters you will catch up with me and lose face as a senior brother." Immortal Kisun is not a fool. Naturally, he noticed something wrong in the tone of the two people. Seeing Zhu Yinglian's slightly relaxed expression, he immediately guessed 6 or 7 points of the truth, and smiled. Yes, practicing Taoism is like sailing against the current. If you don't move forward, you will retreat. It would be best if you can remember this. Everyone chatted for a few more sentences according to the procedure, and then Zhu Yinlian, as the newly promoted chief of the Foundation building realm, entered the Kunlun Tianmen Hall to worship the Tai King statue and gain enlightenment. She went in to gain enlightenment, while Qiu Changtime was taken away by the Wheelie sect master to go out to find the Kunlun elders to prepare for the ancestral worship ceremony. Everyone knew what this ancestral worship ceremony was for. Therefore, the elders in charge of the history and the reception, one after another, decided on 7 or 8 plans, each more extravagant and grand. The head of the Wheelie sect made a decisive decision. Let's use the most grand plan, and invite Shushan, Penglai, Buddhist temples, Confucian and Taoist academies, and all the cultivation sects in the world, all of which are not hostile to Kunlun, all of them to Kunlun Mountains to watch the ceremony. Even though Qiu Changtime is knowledgeable, he couldn't hold it back at the end. These seniors are really good at pretending. Forget it, they are all kind-hearted and help me brush up the synchronization value. Just bear with it. Leaving the main hall, I saw Elder Zhu rushing up with a smile on his face and asked, "Why is Yinglin not with you?" Replying to the elder, "She is enlightened in Tianmen Hall." Qiu Changtime said respectfully, "Oh, I forgot." Elder Zhu smiled and said, "The Zhu family in Tianan sent an invitation. If Changzhen has time these days, you can go back and sit more." Of course. Qiu Changtime smiled and agreed, watching Elder Zhu leave. Speaking of the Tianan Zhu family, the investment layout that began more than 20 years ago has finally ushered in a huge harvest today. The only first-class Jindan in the world is their Zhu family's son-in-law. If the Tianan Zhu family does not take advantage of Kunlun's East Twin this time to spread it to the world, it would be extremely rare. Qiu Changtime suddenly felt something was wrong. How come the entire Kunlun Tai King sect and the Tianan Zhu family are helping me to show off without knowing it? Well, it seems that my talent has overflowed to the point where it can't be covered at all. There is no need to worry too much in the future. Just find a crowded place and stand there, and the synchronization value of the invincible setting will automatically rise. Looking back on the past, I worked hard to train outer disciples, find inner disciples to debate scriptures, and brush up the synchronization value without sleep and food. I was even mistaken for being a show-off. Qiu Changtime can finally say with relief that he has finally made it. Hard work will eventually pay off. Strive and you will succeed. Kunlun Mirror looked at him coldly, moving himself in his heart, then turned to ask King Ping Sword, "What have you thought about what I said before?" King Ping Sword smiled tenderly. "I don't know. After all, he is also my sword master, come on." Kunlun Mirror showed a look of "That's enough, do you recognize your master? If you can fool him, can you fool me?" "Oh, why are you entangled with that?" King Ping Sword said casually, "Sword spirit and sword, those are two different things. Isn't it enough for me to recognize him now? But your plan is quite interesting, anyway, it's just a vent, and it won't cause any substantial harm to him." Kunlun Mirror struck while the iron was hot. With his current powerful Taoist foundation, when that day comes, he doesn't have to worry about their pursuit at all. To put it bluntly, even if he planned to ascend to heaven and escape the tribulation, he would be dragged down by their concerted efforts. It is estimated that even his origin would not be damaged. He would be fine the next day and just pat his butt to continue to overcome the tribulation. Do you believe it? You have so much confidence in him that you think he can definitely form an immortal infant? King Ping Sword asked in surprise. Yes. Kunlun Mirror said seriously, just like I believed before that he could form a first-grade golden elixir. From the perspective of saving the world, I should naturally thank him, and I have actually helped him enough. But, although his past bad deeds were to conceal his identity and had their reasons, they were too much. Afterwards, I will give him a little punishment and hope that he will turn over a new leaf. It's not too much, right? Not too much. King Ping Sword was finally happy. Even if it was Dahi, who was ordered by God to seduce King Zhao and confuse the court, she would still be abandoned if she went too far. We're just planning to bully him, which is already very kind. Then you agree? Count me in. Qiu Changtime didn't know that a mirror and a sword had reached a secret agreement, but just listened absent-mindedly to the arrangements of the headmaster and the elders. After returning to the Jinlan cave, he adjusted his breath on the stone bed for a while, and then saw Zhu Yingyuan coming back from outside. "Brother," she said happily, "I have been practicing in the Wafu for more than 380 years. Only 20 years away, can you form a second-grade golden elixir?" Qiu Changtime was also very happy for her. The stronger sister's use cultivation is, the more she can fill the vacancy after I leave in the future, so that my regrets will be less. Kunlun Mirror quietly withdrew the illusion temporarily. Brother, seeing that his expression was indeed happy and not mocking, Zhu Yingyuan couldn't help but feel a little moved in his heart. Thinking carefully, his performance in front of the immortal was still a bit reckless. When he heard the immortal say "I'm not as good as my brother," his first reaction was anger. What is there to be angry about? Am I, Zhu Yingyuan, the kind of person who can't afford to lose and has to deceive myself and refuse to admit the facts? I'm not as good as my brother in strength. I'm not as brave as my brother. Zhu Yingyuan, take back your indifferent arrogance. You should work harder to catch up with your senior brother in the future. What's wrong? Seeing the beautiful woman in white in front of him silent for a long time, Qiu Changtime asked curiously. Senior brother, I have found some clues before, about the traitor of the Zhu family back then. Zhu Yingyuan said softly, it's just that because of the later Baiyuzheng competition, I didn't pursue it further. Wait until senior brother is free, are you willing to accompany me? Qiu Changtime was slightly startled, and then he remembered that the Zhu family's ancestral precepts mentioned that there was indeed a traitor who dug up the tomb of the ancestor Fenton and stole the scriptures and magic weapons inside and left. This matter has made the elders of the Zhu family of all generations feel uneasy. If he can help his junior sister find that things, it can be regarded as repaying part of the kindness of the Tian and Zhu family. Besides, even if the things are found, they are still junior sister's use. Now she is the most qualified to practice Taoism in the entire Zhu family. Who else should she give the good things to? Not only can I repay my wife's family, but my wife can also benefit from it. This is a good thing that kills two birds with one stone. Why not? Qiu Changtime smiled gently, I will go with my junior sister. Chapter 495 Synopsis Field. Therefore, Qiu Changtime and Zhu Yingyuan agreed to look for clues about the Zhu family's traitors when they were free. Of course, not today, after all, the ancestral worship ceremony was about to begin. Before the ceremony began, there was already an endless stream of fellow Kunlun disciples coming to Jinlan to visit the two, leaving them with no place to step in front of their cave. One was a newly promoted first-grade Jintan's Hinran, and the other was a newly promoted chief at the foundation-building realm. Any cunning cultivator who was not short-sighted could see that this pair of Taoists was destined to have a promising future. Therefore, many Jindan realm cultivators came to visit Qiu Chang's Highland to meet him, while the foundation-building realm cultivators came to please Zhu Yingyan and get familiar with him. Together, these two accounted for at least 80% to 90% of all cunning, and it was understandable that they blocked the door of Jinlan Cave. The two are receiving guests from morning to night. Qiu Chang's Highland had long been accustomed to being sought after and flattered, but Zhu Yingyan, who had a cold personality, was quite impatient, and in the end he almost had the urge to run away. Fortunately, it was getting dark, and the guests who were still waiting finally said goodbye and left, planning to find another opportunity to visit next time. Zhu Yingyan lay back on the stone bed, looking tiredly at the top of the cave, muttering, "Why is it so tiring?" Qiu Chang's Highland sat beside her, looking at her slender and undulating front curve, suppressing the urge to measure its altitude with his hands, and just smiled gently. "Junior sister, you're already the chief at the foundation-building realm. You have to get used to this kind of thing, there will be more trivial things in the future." Zhu Yingyan was silent for a moment, and said, "I thought that after becoming a high-level cultivator, the most I would have to do was to take in apprentices. Taking in apprentices is just one of the things." Zhu Yingyan uttered a weak groan, turned around and said nothing. "I didn't expect that junior sister also has things she is not good at dealing with." Qiu Chang's Highland said with a smile, "I thought junior sister would face up to any challenge she encounters." "Stop talking nonsense." Zhu Yingyan was a little shy and unhappy. "It's not that I am not good at dealing with it, I just hate some things. Don't you have anything that senior brother doesn't like?" Qiu Chang's Highland was slightly startled. "Wait, of course I don't like something, but I just can't remember it for the moment." "What is it?" "Alas." In the sea of consciousness, Kunlun Mirror whispered, "You have been pretending for too long, and you can't even remember what kind of person you are. Are you sympathizing with him?" Kingping sawdust softly. "Of course." Kunlun Mirror sighed, "This is my responsibility after all. He's used to wearing layers of masks, so much so that he has forgotten what he looks like under the masks. That's why, after he completes his mission, I have the responsibility to make him take off all those masks and be his original self." Kingping Sword pondered for a moment. Indeed. If a person keeps pretending to be a certain persona for 10 or 20 years, he will definitely confuse the persona with himself. Chen Yonzu's problem is even more serious. He plays many characters at the same time, so that he has some signs of schizophrenia. The earliest sign is naturally to forget his original self, which is a very dangerous signal. When he really completes the task of repairing the sky and can be himself again, without having to continue pretending, can he still remember what his original self is? It's okay, it doesn't matter if you can't remember, they will make you remember. Under the heavy pressure of the Sure field, Chen Yonzu will definitely be able to awaken the instinctive consciousness that has been dormant for a long time, so as to find the most original and true self. Thinking of this, Kingping Sword can't help but be moved by Kunlun Mirror's plan. "Don't worry, Yonzu. After you save the world, we will save you." Qiu Chang's Highland didn't know what the mirror and the sword were planning. He just chatted with Zhu Yingyan late at night, and then both entered into a state of concentration. After a few days, the ancestor worship ceremony finally started as scheduled. Countless visitors from the Shushanshan King sect and Penglayu King Temple of Taoism, the Body Temple and Prajna Temple of Buddhism, the Beiludong Academy of Confucianism, and many sects and schools in Kyushu arrived at Kunlun Tianzhu and were led to Yuxu Palace by various Kunlun monks. Qiu Chang's Highland originally thought that his network of contacts was already wide enough, but now he knows that this is only limited to the 3 pure ones and 6 paths. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have known that there were so many monks from other factions in the world. Amitabha. Elder Fei Kong, the host of the Body Temple, chanted the Buddha's name and followed the Ziwili sect master to Qiu Chang's Highland. "How is it?" the Ziwili sect master asked with a smile, as if he was an old father introducing his outstanding son. "Young and promising." Elder Fei Kong's choice of words is also very particular. In the early years, Buddhists like to use the adjective having wisdom to praise people, but later everyone gradually discovered that when many monks said you were having wisdom, they often thought of shaving your head. Therefore, everyone didn't like to hear this word, and Buddhism gradually used it less and less. The head of Ziwili sect did not seem to want to continue the introduction, and just escorted Elder Fu into the main hall. Zhu Yinglyan had just finished dealing with a group of disciples' greetings, and finally found time to come over and say, "How is it? How many seniors in the cultivation world have you met?" "Not many," Qiu Changtian said with a wry smile. "There are too many big guys, I can't remember them all." "It seems that you don't like socializing either." Zhu Yinglyan smiled reservedly. Qiu Changtian shook his head, and suddenly heard a voice next to him. "Chief Qiu. Oh, now I should call you Master Chang'an, right?" Hearing this voice, Qiu Changtian's heart tightened immediately. Shiluli. So it's her. Oh, since Pengliu King Temple was invited to the ancestral worship ceremony, it is indeed normal for Shiluli to come with Elder Shiding. Long time no see. Zhu Yinglyan smiled faintly. The last time they met, she was just Qiu Changtian's junior sister, and she had a very unpleasant quarrel with the star-chasing fangirl Shiluli. Now, she is Qiu Changtian's Taoist partner, which can be said to be a great victory. Therefore, Zhu Yinglyan felt that it was unnecessary to be too harsh when facing Shiluli again, as that would be a bit of a loss of face. From this point, it can be seen that her emotional intelligence is much higher than that of senior sister Anne. When Mishi saw her smiling, she immediately felt instinctively unhappy. However, although she was unhappy, she was not impulsive enough to dare to provoke Kumlan's chief at the Foundation establishment realm on Kumlan's territory, so she just curled her lips in disdain and turned away. Seeing that Mishi took the initiative to avoid the conflict, Qiu Changtian was secretly relieved. If the two really had a conflict here, he would definitely stand on the side of junior sisters Yu, but that would inevitably mean being at odds with Shiluli. Fortunately, with my strong fortune, the formation of the Shur field was directly avoided. I'm worthy of it. Look, is it infuriating? Kumlan Mira said secretly. So he is afraid of the Shur field. King Ping Sword also said with a chuckle, then let's have more next time. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Mundo Fanfic Novelers, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelers. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 496. Something is wrong with Senior Sister Anne. The ancestor worship ceremony itself is actually quite boring. Kumlan Tai King sect prides itself on being the leader of the righteous path, so it attaches great importance to ancient rituals, and the various procedures are boring and long. The guests can still relax secretly, but Qiu Changtian, as the focus of everyone's attention, cannot relax at all, and he is also complaining in his heart. The only advantage is that the synchronization value of the invincible character setting has been maxed out. From today on, all the bigwigs in the cultivation world will remember his name and appearance. The Taoist heart is clear, the first-grade golden elixir, Qiu Changtian. When the boring ancestor worship ceremony ended, there were no unexpected variables. After all, this is the residence of Kumlan Tai King sect. Even if it is as insidious as the hell, it is impossible to cause trouble in such a place. After the end, everyone went back. Of course, they did not come to participate in the ceremony, but to meet Qiu Changtian, the first-grade golden elixir. Now that they have met, they naturally have to return to the sect quickly to discuss the subsequent adjustment of their attitude towards Kumlin. Only the two sect masters of Shushan and Penglai stayed alone to discuss the follow-up matters with the Ziwei sect master in private. The Helder will definitely not let Qiu Changtian go. The Yuzheng sect master whispered. That's natural. The Ziwei sect master was very calm. Even if we don't make a big fuss, with their cunning ability, they will find out sooner or later. It's better to lure him directly. The Kshandu sect master sighed, but the risk is too great after all. In this era of great contention, we, the three pure ones, have the same origin and must work together. We can't fight each other. The Ziwei sect master said slowly. The Yuzheng sect master and the Kshandu sect master looked at each other for a moment. That's natural. It should be so. With the birth of Qiu Changtian, the first-grade golden elixir, Kumlan and the Shushan and Penglai sects have formed a more strict alliance and established their own leadership advantages. Of course, the cultivation world at this time has not yet realized the subsequent impact that this incident will bring. The unification of the Orthodox religion will naturally bring about the integration of the demon religion. When the forces of both sides become increasingly distinct and confront each other, the so-called era of great struggle is not far away. Qiu Changtian returned to the cave and told Kumlan Mirror. Load the game, Ling Yunpo, let's go get your last fragment. Don't worry it. Kunlun Mirror said unexpectedly. Didn't Ling Yunpo declare that he has formed a golden elixir yet? Wait until you have formed a golden elixir before entering the demon locking tower. Can you wait? Qiu Changtai asked in surprise. I have waited for hundreds of thousands of years, so I don't care about these few months. Kunlun Mirror said considerately. Qiu Changtai was a little suspicious, but what the mirror said did make sense. If you rush to the demon locking tower at the Foundation establishment stage, it will inevitably arouse suspicion. It is better to wait for a few months and wait for Qiu Changtai's first grade golden elixir to wend, and then declare the formation of a golden elixir in a low-key manner. As for the grade, considering the unfavorable position of King Luo Peak in Shushan, it is inevitable to arouse fear if you say it is a second-grade golden elixir, so it is better to say it is a third-grade golden elixir. Load the save file. Location 2. Shushan Shang King Sect, King Luo Peak. Character identity: Ling Yunpo. Mirror Flower Water Moon template overwritten, currently traveling through time and space. In the past few days, Ling Yunpo gradually realized that senior sister seemed to be a little bit abnormal. She often sat in her room in a daze, and her eyes looking at him were also quite strange, as if she was examining him. Oh, could it be that I have revealed some flaws again? Ling Yunpo was not worried about this, and the reason was very simple. First, although he was a spy, he was also that genuine junior brother of Nzesu, and this identity could not be faked. Second, after so many years, he knew Nzesu's character very well. That was completely unreasonable and extreme protection. Even though she lacked emotional intelligence, did things without thinking, treated people without words, and was cold or fierce most of the time outside, she really took good care of me, her junior brother, almost to the point of doting. Even if it is a rather perfunctory excuse, as long as it comes from the mouth of my junior brother, it can be easily fooled. The wine in the Taoist temple was finished again, and Ling Yunpo picked up the wine pot and went out to buy wine for his senior sister. As soon as he went out, he saw two sword lights from Lin Yulanzhen and Juan Fanhai, falling rapidly from the sky. Kunlun's chief Qiu Changtai has formed a golden elixir. Lin Yulanzhen just landed on the ground and immediately shouted, and it is said that it is a first-grade golden elixir. Oh. Ling Yunpo responded subconsciously, and then suddenly reacted. No, his reaction was too flat, it would reveal a flaw. So he showed an expression of suddenly realizing what the other party was saying, raised his head in disbelief, and asked in surprise, "What did you say? What grade did he form?" "First-grade golden elixir." Juan Fanhai replied, his face full of admiration and envy. Then, the two saw Ling Yunpo standing there in a daze, the wine pot in his hand fell to the ground, and his expression had become dumbfounded and unbelievable. How is it possible? He cried out, during the last Baiyuzheng competition, he was only at the Watfu level. How could he form a golden elixir so quickly? Don't lie to me. Why would we lie to you about this? Lin Yulanzhen said with a wry smile, not to mention us, the whole Shushan knows about it. It's a first-grade golden elixir. Ling Yunpo wanted to continue his performance, but he heard footsteps from behind. It was Nzesu who walked out of the temple. Did Qiu Changtai form a golden elixir? She frowned suspiciously. Yes. Juan Fanhai nodded and looked at Lin Yulanzhen again. Sister Am's expression is a little wrong. When she heard that her old enemy, Qiu Changtai, the chief of cunning, had formed a golden elixir, she didn't feel disappointed or excited at first, but rather a look of doubt and confusion. Absolutely true. Lin Yulanzhen said seriously. Nzesu nodded, turned to look at Ling Yunpo again. Junior brother, how many years have you been cultivating in the Watfu? Ling Yunpo was stunned for a moment, his mind turned rapidly, about 150 years. Shushan cultivators, if they are the top batch, can still get 130 years of cultivation by relying on the 3 Purple Palace secret medicines or secret realms of Jinmao Danhua, Wenanshuru, South Xinjiang, and Yunhai Kongjiao, locking Demon Tower. Later, he can practice breathing by himself. Although the grade of Qi refining technique is not as good as cunning, it is not very difficult to reach the third-grade golden elixir of 200 years. Nzesu was silent after hearing this. After a while, there was a sense of relief in his eyes. If Qiu Changtai has formed a pill, then he has formed a pill. Why are you so shocked? She advised seriously, concentrating on cultivation is the right way. It's just that I suddenly heard this news and felt it was too bizarre. Lin Yulanzhen explained. We were never Qiu Changtai's opponents. Now that he has become a real person before us, it will be even more difficult for us to surpass him in strength and wash away the shame of the Bayesian competition. Juan van Hegei also sighed. It wasn't you who lost to him in the Bayesian competition. Zisu said calmly, I'm not anxious. Why are you anxious? Lin Yulanzhen was speechless, and after a while he said, Senior sister taught me a lesson. Junior brother. Zisu turned around and told Lin Yunpo, follow me to practice sword. But senior sister, the wine is finished. Ling Yunpo picked up the empty wine pot. Then go buy some wine first. Zisu thought for a while and changed his words. Let's go together. Lin Yulanzhen gave Juan van Hegei a look and said quickly. Ling Yunpo frowned slightly, thinking, why are you following me here? Are you here to be a light bulb? Chapter 497 I choose to ask about love flow, because I have great love. Zisu has been feeling a little uneasy lately. During the finals of the Bayesian competition, the swordsmanship that Qiu Changtime used against her always gave her an inexplicable sense of familiarity. Although when she thought about it carefully, there was no similarity in the swordsmanship, but in terms of style, she saw the shadow of junior brother Lin. Of course, under the illusion of the flowers in the mirror and the moon in the water, Zisu could not think that the two are the same. She just felt that there seemed to be some kind of secret connection between the two, but there were too few clues, so she had no clue at all. Now that she knew that Qiu Changtime had already formed a golden elixir, and it was a rare first-grade golden elixir in the world, she finally felt relieved. No matter what the relationship was, at least with Qiu Changtime's current fame and status, it was impossible for him to plot against junior brother Lin. When they arrived at the restaurant in the market at the foot of the mountain, everyone ordered a table and sat down on the benches on both sides. Junior brother Lin has been cultivating for 150 years. Lin Yulanzhen said with a casual smile, Junior brother Juan and I are about the same. After the dan is formed, you must examine your conscience. Senior sister Anne, junior brother Lin, what are your plans? Ling Yunpo was a little confused, so he turned to look at senior sister Anne. As a result, Zisu picked up the wine pot very calmly and poured wine into her own wine cup. Ling Yunpo. No way. Senior sister, you don't know either. So Lin Yulanzhen also showed a helpless look of I knew it and explained to Ling Yunpo. We Shushan sword immortals are different from other sects. There is a threshold of examination of the heart on the road of cultivation. The so-called examination of the heart is to confirm why you draw the sword. Sword immortals cultivate the Tao to be strong, and their temperaments are often paranoid and pure, which makes it easier to be invaded by the inner demons, or to go astray. After the examination of the heart, the will be more tenacious, which is of great benefit to sword practice and combat. As for the schools of examination of the heart, there are the forget love school, the heartless school, the questioning love school, etc. You already know them, so I won't say more. After listening to Lin Yulanzhen's introduction, Ling Yunpo suddenly remembered the crazy sword immortal, that uncle was invaded by the inner demon, and then he became a ghost. The character template of Ling Yunpo himself does not have the talent of Taoism and clear mind that is immune to the inner demons. It seems that he really needs to go through this examination of the heart. As for what to choose, of course, the questioning love school, otherwise what else can he choose? The so-called ask the heart is to draw the sword to protect the one you love. For example, senior sister Anne, junior sisters you, Mishi, Witch Jiang, Little Fox, in order to protect them, to save the world, I must seek the heaven-mending stone, practice Taoism for this, draw the sword for this, and do everything for this. Isn't this the greatest ask the heart? Isn't this 1,000 times better than the Zhui king that doesn't recognize relatives and the one king that deceives others? Didn't you say that you should ask the heart after forming the pill? Ling Yunpo asked in a low voice. It's just a convention, not a strict restriction. Juan van Hegei replied, the recent struggle between good and evil has become more and more intense. If you can ask the heart in advance, it can be regarded as a little more confident in self-protection. I see. Ling Yunpo nodded. As for what school to choose, he could guess without asking that Lin Yulanzhen and Juan van Hegei were both one king and he and senior sister and were asked the heart. Senior sister, how about we ask the heart in advance too? That's fine. Zisu lowered his head to drink, hiding the shame on his face. That's great. Lin Yulanzhen raised his glass and said with a smile, if you want to ask your conscience, you have to go to the Ask Your Heart cave behind the Patriarch's Hall. The Ask Your Heart cave is guarded by a deacon, and cultivators who have not yet formed a pill are not allowed to enter. But if senior sister and junior brother Link join us, we can use this to put pressure on the deacon and ask him to let us in. Who is the deacon guarding the Ask Your Heart cave? Zisu suddenly asked. According to the shift, this month it should be senior brother Fan from the MMA school. Juan Van Haggai also said with a smile, it's Fan when Jim who was beaten up by you before, and then turned around and ran away when he saw you. Ling Yunpo. No wonder you invited me and senior sister to go together. It turns out that you want to use senior sister Am's bad reputation to pull this tiger skin. It's just that I'm about to form a pill, and I have to deliberately delay it for a while. Now I go to ask my conscience, so I don't have to run again later. Since I want to ask my conscience, I can take Lindu Lansen and Juan Van Haggai with me, and do them a favor. After careful consideration, Ling Yunpo readily agreed. The four of them flew up on their swords and quickly headed towards the golden summit of Mount Imei. After bypassing the Patriarch's Hall, they slowly descended under the leadership of Lindu Lansen, and saw a stream flowing and lush trees and flowers next to the hill behind them. The scenery was very delicate and lovely, but there was no noisy bird calls or insect chirping, and it was quiet and pleasant. Ling Yunpo thought to himself that he had been to Mount Imei before, but this was the first time he had seen this place. It felt like a new village after a dark tunnel. After turning around the mountain road, they saw a deep cave entrance, half hidden behind layers of vines. On the rock wall next to it, there were two large characters Ask the Heart. The Shushan sword Immortal, who was in charge of guarding the cave of Asking the Heart, was sitting on a large rock next to him, flipping through the scriptures in his hand boredly. Seeing Lindu Lansen bringing people over again, he jumped off the rock impatiently and drove them away, saying, "Why are you here again? Junior brother Lin, I've already said that one can enter the heart-searching cave after forming the dam, don't make things difficult for me. Senior brother Fan, please be flexible." Lindu Lansen said with a smile, "I heard that senior brother Zhao also conducted heart-searching before forming the dam." "No way." Senior brother Fan immediately glared at Lindu Lansen with a domineering tone, refusing to buy into Lindu Lansen's account at all. "Don't listen to those people's nonsense, only cultivators who have formed the dam can enter, this is the rule set by the sect. If the real people in the punishment hall hear it, not to mention me, you will also be in trouble." Before he finished speaking, Zisu had pushed Lindu Lansen aside, walked up and scolded, "Get out of the way." Senior brother Fan wanted to say something, but when he saw that it was the grass-cutting sword Immortal, his whole body trembled noticeably, and then he hurriedly shouted, "Oh! I forgot to turn off the fire for a furnace of elixirs. I have to go back and turn it off before I can come back." He rolled and crawled a few steps away, then flew up quickly on his sword and disappeared. Ling Yunpo. Lindu Lansen. Juan Van Haggai. Sure enough, bringing in Zisu here was the right choice. "This is the heart-searching cave," Lindu Lansen introduced. "As long as you go in, you can enter the illusion to search your heart." At this point, he paused again, and then said, "It is said that in ancient times, the Taoist couples who mainly practiced the questioning flow would enter the illusion to search their hearts together, and the success rate was higher than going in alone. In that case, senior sister, let's go." Ling Yunpo understood, and immediately took Zisu's hand and pulled her in. Seeing the two of them holding hands and walking into the heart-searching cave, Juan Van Haggai couldn't help but sigh. "Old Lin, if these two people both practiced the questioning flow, the news would spread, wouldn't it cause a sensation in the entire Shushan? If you don't say it and I don't say it, how can it be so easy to spread it?" Lindu Lansen shook his head. "Even if I don't tell you, everyone will be able to guess it slowly." Juan Van Haggai sighed and said, "The former Seven Killers Master Su Jian also claimed to be practicing the Forget Love flow, but what happened?" His eyes became melancholy, and he said faintly, "Some things can't be concealed after all." Chapter 498. Blood flow is a cancer. Ling Yunpo and Zisu held hands, interlocked their fingers, and walked carefully in the cave. The air in the cave did not feel dull, but rather a little wet, as if there was a stream not far away. Senior sister bit her lower lip, with a rare little girl's expression on her face, which was completely different from the cold expression she had when she reprimanded senior brother Fan at the entrance of the cave. It was not that she was not used to holding hands with her junior brother, but interlocking her fingers in front of Lindu Lansen and Juan Van Haggai, as if her sovereignty was being declared in public, was really a bit too much for her to bear. It was just because of her protective personality that she felt that she could not hit her junior brother, otherwise he would not be with her. What should she do? Therefore, senior sister simply lowered her eyes, only looked at the stone ground, not at her junior brother, pretending to be nothing, and let Ling Yunpo pull her forward. "Be careful, you were about to step into the illusion," Kunlun Mirror suddenly said. Ling Yunpo was refreshed, and even the little action of secretly scratching the palm of the senior sister paused, and just looked forward carefully. After walking for a long time, there was still nothing unusual around them, until a passage ahead gradually widened. The two entered the room, which turned out to be a secret room deep in the King Luo Peak. In the secret room, the long-browed immortal stood silently, with his back to the two of them, and said faintly, "Ask about love, ask about love. Sujian, you can even give up the great way for a mortal. So foolish, so foolish." His voice was low and hoarse, and Ling Yunpo and Zisu felt their hair stand on end. Because the long-browed immortal had exuded an extremely strong, sticky murderous intent that almost wrapped the two of them up and drowned them. Zisu took a step forward and stopped Ling Yunpo behind him, and the Feian and Hanliang swords quickly drew out and blocked him in front of him. Ling Yunpo was startled and quickly grabbed senior sister Ram's arm, and asked Kumlin Jing again in his heart, "Jing, is this immortal really an illusion? It can't be a premeditated trap." Kumlin Jing did not answer, and only a long silence remained. Ling Yunpo gritted his teeth, thinking that the broken mirror should not deceive him. Otherwise, if he died, who would help him save the world and mend the sky? The long-browed immortal silently snapped his fingers, and the Liangyi microdust sword emerged from his sleeve. He held the silver-white hilt in his hand, like a Confucian scholar holding a pen, and slowly turned around. In the past, for the sake of his so-called wife, he could stay in the mortal world for decades and completely abandon his own cultivation. The long-browed immortal turned his clear and thin face towards the two of them, his expression neither sad nor happy, his voice was empty and cold, and for the sake of his so-called daughter, he was ambushed and fought to the death, and even did not spare his own life. It seems that the cultivation of the sect and the support of the teachers are things that can be abandoned at any time and are completely unworthy at mention in his eyes. The path of cultivation is inherently a rugged and dangerous path. The worldly desires will only hinder the cultivation of cultivators. If everyone in Shushan is like Sujian, putting the cart before the horse and putting their own personal feelings above the cultivation of the Tao, who knows how many people can become infants and how many can form pills now? The flow of emotions is the cancer of the practitioners of Shushan, and it is a mistake that should have been erased long ago. Sujian is my apprentice, and I will not let him go astray. You are his daughter and apprentice. If you are willing to swear to mend your ways, I will recognize you two as my disciples. What if not? Zisu asked in a trembling voice. The pressure from the long-browed immortal was so great that she even found it difficult to breathe. If you are stubborn, the long-browed immortal said woodenly, it is not a bad idea to let Sujian return to the flow of oblivion with your death. If the immortal kills me and my senior sister, and Master learns about this after coming out of retreat, won't he regard Master as an enemy? Ling Yunpo gritted his teeth and said, "So what?" The corners of the long-browed immortal's mouth curled slightly, like a sneer, and like a twitch, asking about love. As long as there is no burden worth worrying about, how can he ask about love? Even if he is still naive and wants to seek revenge for Master, he must first improve his cultivation. Only when he ascends to the immortal world can he have the possibility of defeating Master. If there really comes a day when Master admits this mistake, what's the harm? Ling Yunpo's face twitched. He felt that this dead old man was just like the firm party at no female protagonist. He had completely fallen into a state of madness that could not be communicated. Why not have a female protagonist? Because some novels have bad heroines, other novels don't want heroines either. Why are people not allowed to practice the Wen King's dream? Because some Wen King's dream monks have made mistakes, other monks are not allowed to practice the Wen King's dream. If Ling Yunpo was a debater, he would point out that this is a typical slippery slope fallacy. However, it is well known that debaters are useless. The knife is already on your neck, and you are still arguing with them. I see. Ling Yunpo chuckled, thinking to himself, let me help my senior sister to practice this love flow, and said firmly, long-browed immortal, please let my senior sister go, and just take my life. Just as the immortal said, to ask for love, you must have love to ask. If the person you love no longer exists in this world, how can my senior sister ask for love? In this way, the immortal's wish will be fulfilled, and please kill me. Junior brother, you can't do that. Zisu was shocked, and he bit his lower lip hard. In the pain, he broke through the pressure released by the long-browed immortal, and shouted with gritted teeth, long-browed immortal, instead of killing my junior brother, you might as well kill me. If you want to cut off my father's mortal heart, killing my junior brother is not the best solution. As long as I, his daughter, exist, my father will think of my mother when he sees me. Killing me can stop my father's thoughts, and it can also make my junior brother give up. Please let my junior brother go, and just take my life." Seeing the senior sister and brother of King Luopeak rushing to die, the long-browed immortal finally changed color and became furious. "Good. Good. Good. You are all stubborn and don't care about your own life. Shushan has poured so many resources into you, just to let you sacrifice casually like this. Since you want to die so much, then I will fulfill your wish." He raised his finger and pointed at Ling Yunpo lightly, and the latter's chest immediately burst into blood. Ling Yunpo fell to the ground, his pupils weakly dilated, feeling that his life was rapidly fading from the wound caused by the sword energy. Well, it was like the real thing. "I told you it was an illusion," Kunlun Mirror complained. "Why didn't you reply to me before?" Ling Yunpo asked helplessly. At this time his body had lost control. "Didn't I reply to you? It's you who don't believe it," Kunlun Mirror said calmly. "You can only practice it yourself." Ling Yunpo, "I always feel that this broken mirror is getting more and more despicable. Is it my illusion?" He fell to the ground and died, and Sword Zisu suddenly turned into a sword light. Man and sword became one, and he killed the long-browed immortal like lightning. Then, her body suddenly flew back at the same speed, like a broken willow, and landed next to Ling Yunpo's corpse. Last chance. The long-browed immortal walked to her side, looked at Zisu, who was bleeding from her mouth and nose and breathing but not breathing, and said slowly, "Give up the love flow, and I will spare your life." Zisu raised her hand with difficulty, as if she wanted to grasp the hilt of the sword next to her. But in the end, she just slowly grasped Ling Yunpo's already cold hand. Chapter 499. A Jin's psychological counseling class. Ling Yunpo fell to the ground, the feeling of dying kept coming from his mind. Even though he knew it was caused by the illusion, it was still not a good feeling. Fortunately, he was born with sword bones, which could support this false, terrifying, and helpless feeling of dying. Looking at sister next to him, she had already fainted, as if she was sleeping. As for the immortal long eyebrows, after testing and killing 2 people under the arrangement of the illusion, he disappeared directly into the stone chamber. "I have good news and bad news. Which one do you want to hear first?" Kunlun Mirror suddenly said. "Hear the bad news first." Ling Yunpo did not hesitate. "Why hear the bad news first?" King Ping Sword asked curiously. "Because if you hear the good news first, then the bad news may be the good news is actually false," Ling Yunpo replied. Kunlun Mirror, King Ping Sword. Both the mirror and the sword had the urge to pull his ears and complain. "Who do you think is as boring as you think?" "The bad news is," Kunlun Jing said calmly, "you can't cultivate the questioning love flow this way. Even before ordinary cultivators enter the cave, they have expected the illusion inside, but this questioning heart illusion is like a dream. As long as you have the slightest hesitation in your heart, is this true? You will immediately fall asleep in a dream. As for people in dreams, you also know that even if they have noticed that the surroundings are very strange, it is difficult to realize that they are dreaming. Only in this way can the questioning heart illusion be effective." "So what?" Ling Yunpo frowned and asked. "Because I am not shaken at all, the illusion has no effect on me. Then why did I come in to play this scene with senior sister Anne? Isn't it to win senior sister's favor and test senior sister's sincerity?" Kunlun Jing asked in surprise. "Of course not," Ling Yunpo said righteously. "How could I have such bad thoughts about senior sister? It's just because the Shushan Sword Immortal must ask questions, so I have to come." "Congratulations, you have learned to ask and answer yourself," Kunlun Jing said with a smile. "What I mean is..." Ling Yunpo was not annoyed, but just corrected. "Although it was just to go through the procedure, you reminded me in advance that this was an illusion, which resulted in this trip being of no benefit to me. Shouldn't you explain something?" "How could that be?" Kunlun Jing pretended to be puzzled. "Didn't you win the sincerity of senior sister?" "I'm talking about strength. Is it good to improve strength?" Ling Yunpo frowned secretly, thinking, when did this broken mirror become so sharp-tongued? Damn. So annoying. Forget it. Ling Yunpo changed the subject. "What's the good news?" "The good news is, ding dong," Kunlun Jing said with a smile, "your senior sister has successfully questioned her heart and embarked on the path of asking about love." Ling Yunpo. "So I'm the only one who got nothing?" "Of course not," Kunlun Jing said patiently. "First of all, the reason why we have to examine our hearts before and after forming the elixir is mainly because Shushan Sword Immortals are obsessed with swordsmanship for many years, and their personalities are often simple and prone to paranoia, which gives the demons an opportunity to take advantage of them. Examining our hearts is to make our Tao heart purer. But you are not a normal Shushan sword immortal. The key refining technique you mainly practice is the 9 heavens pure land realm true words, and you have Kyo Chain times Tao heart to switch to, so you don't have to worry about the demons invading, right? What you said makes some sense. Ling Yunpo nodded and said, but it's not enough to convince me. Why can't I practice the questioning love flow? Secondly, the questioning love flow itself is both a help and a constraint. Kumlinjing said seriously, to practice the questioning love flow, to some extent, it also means being trapped by love. Think about it, if what was just now was not an illusion, but real, would you sacrifice yourself in exchange for senior sister Ram's life? Ling Yunpo opened his mouth. It's not that he wouldn't, but he realized very rationally that some choices must be made under specific circumstances to confirm whether he can make them. It's just like countless lovers who firmly believe from the bottom of their hearts that they will protect each other, but when the disaster is really imminent, abandoning each other and running away is an instinctive choice. At this moment, Ling Yunpo has not really encountered a dangerous situation where he needs to sacrifice himself to save his senior sister, so naturally he can't say that he will definitely save his senior sister, even if he swears to say it. Both Jing and himself know that this is a lie. I understand. Ling Yunpo sighed and said, if I really cultivate the asking love flow, it means that senior sister is more important in my heart than saving the world and mending the sky. This is something you absolutely don't want to happen, right, Jing? Kumlinjing was silent for a moment, and said, not really, but I think you may not be able to cultivate the asking love flow in the illusion now. Do you think I'm not sincere to senior sister Am? Ling Yunpo sneered. Maybe. Kumlinjing sighed and said, what about the others? Junior sisters you, Mishi, are you sincere to them too? Do you want to claim that you can fall in love with so many people sincerely at the same time? Don't forget, you always wore a mask when you were with them, and in the end you decided to abandon those masks and abandon your feelings for them, right? Ling Yun broke the silence. The illusion is going to continue. Seeing that he was speechless, Kumlan Mirror reminded him, because you haven't cultivated the questioning flow of love yet, it will use more powerful means to force you into a more complicated dream. Do you want to continue cultivating the questioning flow of love, or let me help you interrupt this illusion? Interrupt it. Ling Yunpo sighed, you're right, Jing. Now senior sister Ram's feelings for me are far greater than my feelings for her. After all, I have some selfish motives. If precisely because of this, I fail to cultivate the questioning flow of love in the illusion, but cultivate some other school, wouldn't it be a complete betrayal of my feelings for senior sister? Let me really think it through before I take a walk in this questioning cave. Okay then. Kumlan Mirror laughed, I can make some slight modifications to Ling Yunpo's character template so that they will think you have cultivated the questioning flow of love. Yeah. Ling Yunpo nodded and said, thank you. Mirror flowers and water moons, shining silently in the void. Kumlan Mirror shouted in a low voice, break it for me. The illusion finally collapsed, and Ling Yunpo found himself holding Nzesu, lying on the cold, hard ground. The soft body of the senior sister lay in his arms, tightly grasping his right hand, as if grasping everything in her life. Ling Yunpo stared at her face for a long time, his expression was lost and confused. What a surprise. Qin Ping Jian whispered in the sea of consciousness, I didn't expect him to admit that he didn't face these feelings at all. So what he said about running away after patching up the sky was actually all fake? Not really. Kumlinjin whispered, he just hasn't made up his mind. I don't know if he can really cultivate the questioning love flow if he continues to dream in the questioning heart illusion. But think about it, if he can't cultivate it, what will happen to senior sister Am? If he succeeds, what will happen to the other girls? If he tries to question his heart without recognizing his own heart, he will definitely hurt himself. It's really difficult. Qin Ping Jian commented, why do you say there are only 3 schools of questioning the heart? Whether it is heartless, forgetting love or questioning love, they are obviously not suitable for him. What do you mean? I'm just making an analogy, how about the passionate flow? Chapter 500 Return to Penglai, the Immortal Visits. Lin Yulanzan and Juan Fanhai waited outside for a long time, and finally waited for Ling Yunpo and Nzisu to come out of the heart-searching cave, supporting each other. What happened? Lin Yulanzan asked with concern, what kind of mechanism is inside? We're fine. Ling Yunpo shook his head and sighed, Brother Lin, do you want to know the information inside? I can tell you, but the more you know, the more disadvantageous it will be for your heart searching, then forget it. Lin Yulanzan immediately smiled, I'm glad that you are all fine. The two are very tactful and did not ask Ling Yunpo and Zisu whether their heart searching was successful or not, or what specific school they belonged to. Ling Yunpo said goodbye to the two, and then flew away with Sister Anne. Zisu's face was still a little pale, as if she had not yet recovered from the near-death exhaustion. It was not until the two of them landed in front of King Luo Peak that she suddenly said, "Junior brother, what's wrong, senior sister?" "Master." Zisu murmured, "Master was seriously injured while saving me." Was he really wrong? How could that be? Ling Yunpo comforted her, "Senior sister, don't get it wrong. That was not the real long-browed immortal. It was an illusion created by the illusion that pulled your and my consciousness into a dream. In other words, the reason why the illusion said Master was wrong is because Senior Sister has been questioning this matter deep in her heart. Senior Sister does not want Master to get hurt for her. However, if Senior Sister is the one who has to protect others, how will Senior Sister choose?" Zisu was speechless. Her performance in the illusion of questioning her heart had already explained everything. "Sister," Ling Yunpo concluded, "we all don't want important people to get hurt because of protecting ourselves. But we are willing to give everything to protect important people. This is the essence of the asking love flow, isn't it?" Zisu was silent for a moment, and smiled and said, "Junior brother, your eloquence is getting better and better." "It's not eloquence, just telling the truth." Ling Yunpo also laughed. "Come with me to the backyard to sit for a while," Zisu said. In the pavilion in the backyard, Ling Yunpo skillfully filled the wine pot, propped it on the small stove, and boiled it. Zisu sat beside him, leaning gently on his shoulder, and seemed a little weak. As usual, she should stare at the steaming wine pot at this time. However, Ling Yunpo did not notice that the senior sister did not look at the wine pot at all. She just stared at her profile with a full gaze, and the emotions in her eyes were like the rising tide of spring water, almost overflowing. After finishing the asking love flow, Ling Yunpo prepared to read the file and go to Adonliu to take a look. "Next time I return to the Ling Yunpo line, I will announce to my senior sister that I have formed a pill, and then go to the locking demon tower to retrieve the last fragment of Arjing." I came to Adonliu's side after reloading the game. The surroundings were still dull and quiet, and even the air seemed to have stopped flowing. Wei Dongliu patiently meditated for 5 or 6 hours, and felt more and more upset. "Arjin, reload the game and go to Luoyan." "Okay." Kumlinjin agreed, thinking that Yu thought you were testing his patience, but you didn't know that he would reload the game, and in the end it was your patience that was worn out. Point 3. Pengliu King Temple, Tiangong Workshop. Character Identity. Luoyan. Mirror Flower Water Moon template overwritten, in the process of time and space shuttle. After returning from the Baiyujing competition, Luoyan's side was unexpectedly quiet, which was completely different from Qiu Chang's time, who was visited every few days. Of course, the main reason was the Baiyujing competition itself. It was not very popular in Penglai. Everyone was immersed in their own research and couldn't extricate themselves, or they were busy making money. In short, the public reaction was very flat. Since he had already formed a Dan, Luoyan took some formation jade slips from the bookshelf in his room that could only be practiced at the Jindan stage. Not long after reading, Miss Shi came to the door again. "Junior brother, junior brother, junior brother." She rushed to Luoyan's desk and shouted, "Senior brother is about to form a nascent soul." "Oh?" Luoyan's eyes lit up, "Then let's go and see. Now that he has formed a Dan, it will be sooner or later that the nascent soul will form, so he can collect some information first." "I can't go," Miss Shi said worriedly. "Senior brother has left Penglai. It is said that even Master doesn't know where he will transcend the tribulation." "Really?" Luoyan felt sorry in his heart, but he pretended to comfort her. "Don't worry too much, senior brother has been preparing for so many years, nothing will happen." "There is another news." She nodded, and said, "I heard that Kunlun's chief Qiu has also formed a golden elixir." Seeing that her expression was normal and calculating the date, Luoyan knew that Kunlun probably had not officially announced the news of Qiu Chang's Time's formation of a golden elixir at this time. Miss Shi probably learned about it from some other gossip, so he pretended to be puzzled and asked, "Formed a golden elixir? I remember he still has a long life ahead of him, how come he formed a golden elixir so soon?" "Because it is a first-grade golden elixir." Elder Shiding pushed the door in from outside, stroked his beard and said, "Luoyan, Kunlun is about to hold a ceremony to worship the ancestors, and many of our Penglai elders are invited." Luoyan and Shilili immediately showed expressions of shock and horror, but the latter was sincere while the former was pretending. During the time when the master is in Kunlun, you will arrange all matters in the workshop. Elder Shiding continued. Yes, master. Luoyuan quickly agreed. As the heir of Tiangong Workshop, Luoyuan would naturally take charge of Tiangong Workshop during the master's absence. Father. Shili immediately became interested. I also want to go to Kunlun to play. I haven't been to the northwest yet. Nonsense. Elder Shiding scolded. It's the sect's ancestral worship ceremony. Why are you going to join in the fun? However, Miss Shu was not afraid of her father's glaring and whistling, and she just waved her arms and acted like a spoiled child 3 times in a row, which made the old father a little unable to hold on, and he quickly looked at Luoyuan for help. Luoyuan smiled and said, Master, since senior sister wants to go to Kunlun so much, why don't you make 3 rules with her? As long as she is disrespectful at the Kunlun ancestral worship ceremony, she will be punished and not allowed to go out for 3 years after returning. How about that? Okay. Elder Shiding laughed immediately. Luli, how about that? Shili's face turned pale, and she glared at Luoyuan fiercely, and said angrily, Of course I can. I have always been law-abiding and never do anything to embarrass my father. As soon as these words came out, Luoyuan and Elder Shiding laughed at the same time. However, considering that Shilili was one of the top 12 in the Baiyujing competition, and she is also a well-known righteous newcomer outside Penglai, she should really practice social skills. Thinking of this, Elder Shiding sighed and said, Well, Father will tell you about the process and precautions of the Kunlun ancestral worship ceremony. As soon as Elder Shiding and Miss Shi left, another person came to the door. The man was thin and small, and was obviously the old gatekeeper of Yu King Temple. What? The old gatekeeper? Why is the immortal here? Luoyuan hurried over to greet him and asked respectfully. Luoyuan, the old man has something for you to help with. The Wangxiang immortal smiled and said, Can you come with me? If the immortal orders me to do something, I will do it even if I die. Luoyuan was secretly puzzled in his heart, but he said righteously on his face. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.